Hey everybody, this is Timothy Bennett here.
Sarah Banyan.
Jason Chandler.
Welcome to B&B Banter Bros Goes to the Movies. Tonight we are going to talk about kind of a nostalgic thing, but we're going to talk about the Friends reunion episode, special that was on HBO Max.
Episode, whatever.
Yeah, movie film. It was an hour and a half long ago.
40 feet, goddamn minutes.
But
Yeah, I think it's funny. People expected a series, they expected a movie, and they just kept it all vague, like Friends reunion. And Lisa Kudrow was on Conan O'Brien's show like a few weeks before the release, and she was like, "Yeah, it's not going to be what the people want."
Yeah, right.
And that made me really happy they didn't go down that route. And then how they justify why they didn't do a movie or a show at the end of this reunion.
And she
I was like,
was the one.
Very wise. Well done.
She was the one who said that, and
We'll get into
100% agree with it. Yep.
Yeah.
So, before we get into this, though, I do have one topic of discussion I've been waiting all fucking day to talk about because I just learned about it last night.
This is apparently going to be a surprise for all of us.
So, I just found out that Netflix has canceled Jupiter's Legacy. They will not be picking up a season 2. And literally, that was our last episode, and we had just been talking about this. You know what they're gonna do next instead of Jupiter Legacy?
The rest of my hopes and dreams.
A fucking spin-off of Jupiter's Legacy called Super Crooks. Right? I don't get it either. So I had a bit of a heartbroken moment last night when I learned about this shit.
I don't know what made you want to save that information to the beginning of recording a fucking episode of a podcast that makes me very happy to be a part of. But now I'm very frustrated and angry, and I'm over it right now. But I'm
Probably the most emotive I've ever heard you.
very I told you, I warned you fuckers. In the last, if they don't get a fucking season 2, Aaron warned Netflix.
Yeah.
They're gonna get burnt to the ground. He said it.
I've got a glass bottle in my hand. I can make a Molotov cocktail really easily.
I don't understand.
I'm really mad.
The reason why I waited is because of this reaction. But the other reason why I'm bringing it up now is because I'm literally so disappointed right now. I was so upset when I heard this. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
What the ever-loving Christ is Super Crooks going to be about?
It's a spin-off of
the people with
Jupiter's
the van?
I don't know. Probably.
Those
Maybe.
fucking dildos.
Those guys that don't even have confidence. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna leave us,
Right?
Those guys
Mr.
that-
Leader."
Those guys that barely had names
Jesus,
are getting their own fucking show. Those...
I've made this point and I've said this before. I feel like anytime you do a TV series,
It's still on the top 10.
Excuse me.
Which I don't know if it's the top 10 internationally or per account.
I'm assuming
I'm starting
it's
to
I don't think it's
question.
per account,
I think
but-
we should send pictures to each other of our top 10s or whatever the fuck. I have a feeling they're different per
We'll do that.
whatever.
We'll do that. That's it. It's
But
very.
it's still
interesting
number
point.
5. It's still number 6. What the fuck?
I don't know. All I know is I got super upset and I want people to petition it, just like they did Zack Snyder cut.
Honestly speaking,
Fucking
like
petition.
Netflix is basically, it seems like Netflix, especially with comic book movies or shows, they've gone, oh, people are really enjoying them, cancel them.
Fuck them.
Because they've done it with all the Marvel ones. They did with
Yeah, they did.
Daredevil got 3 seasons, but then they're like,
We don't want to
cancel
do
it.
it. Yeah, cancel it.
Like
don't
Luke
need it.
Cage didn't even get a 3rd season.
Nope.
Iron Fist
Jessica
didn't get
Jones got second season.
I think Jessica Cage.
Wow. Jessica. I mean, you're not far off.
I
They
mean,
got
kind
married.
of.
They got
We're
married.
in bed together. You can call them
Jessica
that.
Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist only got to the 2nd season. Defenders even only got the 1.
Yeah, which is fine. Anywho, at least they're gonna be in the Marvel movies, I believe. At
I
least
think they're trying to.
Daredevil's
transfer
in the
them
new Spider-Man, the 3rd one.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah,
That's
coming out.
Like, what's it called? Like,
I can't remember.
not far from home.
No,
but
that's the 2nd one.
nowhere near home or something like
I
that.
don't remember.
I would
fuck
try
They
to
had this weird fucking home thing going on. I don't know what the hell that's all about.
shut up. Watch the movies.
I should.
They're
I
very,
I haven't
very
seen them
good.
yet,
They
so
are very, very good.
I've heard great things. I really want to watch Homecoming because I want to watch Michael Keaton be Vulture.
It was great.
Because I read this thing and I don't know that it's real, but I want it to be. Is that all the fight scenes? Michael Keaton kept saying, "I'm Batman,"
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
I think that'd be hilarious.
Rightfully so, though.
Hell yeah.
Either way, yeah, that was the bad news. And
Oh, way to shit on my day, Tim. Thanks.
let's,
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
All right, cool.
What I'm here for.
Cool. I hope I can pay attention to what you guys are saying, because as I've learned, when I'm mad, I fucking skip details.
I was like, do you want to like go kick a puppy in front of me or something next? Like, that's really the only way you can make my day worse.
If you have one on hand.
I mean, I don't. Maybe we could find one. We're in a neighborhood.
It's true. There's a lot of dogs around here.
Walk down the
points
street and
them
just kick one.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll let that soak for a
I'm
little while.
gonna. Okay, I'm buying the fucking comic books. I'm gonna read them.
Yeah.
I need to know.
That's what I said too. I'm like, well, if they're not gonna fucking, I need to know. They left too many fucking unanswered
Yeah.
questions.
I
I
need
need
to know.
to
Stay tuned
need to
for the
know.
offshoot episode where we just scream into the microphones about this being canceled.
Yep.
For an hour and a half.
I'm telling you, we need to start a fucking
Petition.
show
Or what? a
called
show?
Negative Nancy's, and
Yeah.
it's just all the shit that just irritate the shit
It's
out
gonna
of
turn
us.
into Peter Griffin's grinding gears.
Yeah, it's
That
just,
really grinds my gears.
yeah. That's what I feel like. We need Negative Nancy's, and it's just us three bitching about us getting older and hating everything.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right, to the
Anyway.
Friends reunion.
To the Friends reunion.
Fucking
Cheers. That's barely makes me happier, but whatever. It wasn't
yeah.
bad. I clicked on it thinking I am not going to finish this. As I have watched all of Friends episodes, not like fully compelled, but I'll let them play in the background. I'll laugh at jokes here and there. Not giving a fuck if there is a cohesive storyline between the episodes. I don't think there really is. But
there are at
is-
times.
Yeah,
There's a-
there is points.
yeah, I
They
mean,
definitely
some
have, like,
people
story arcs
hook
of
up
characters,
here and
yeah,
there.
exactly.
Recurring
It's all
jokes and recurring
relationship based
characters, yeah.
bullshit.
But
yeah.
I mean, still
I-
for 10 seasons though.
I like the way they placed it. The one sentence premise of the show is it's that point in time of your life where your friends are your family.
And
Yeah.
that's probably
And that was perfect.
yeah, and that's
I don't know what that
I was
feels
like,
like,
I
but-
never understood why I liked the show and the
Whatever, Tim.
characters. Because the people, friends of mine, always laugh at me for it. Easy to joke about. But that's probably that right there. Because my friends have always been my family. Family has always been like, never had much of one. So
Yep.
Yeah, as someone who doesn't have a super close relationship to any of my family, which is partially my fault. Yeah, I know the exact feeling where like your friends are always the people you think about when you go like when you get news and they're that like it's not your family you think about converse, it's like your friends you start picking out.
yep.
See, and I'm not super close to my family either, other than my mother, and that's all intentional.
Right.
I don't like my family, so
Heard it first here, folks.
not a big not a big fan. Too much drama. I don't deal with drama.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree. Like, I tend to lean to the ones that I don't have a lot of friends either. So it's like I get really fairly close. I mean, Aram, I've known you for like 8 years or something like that. Devin, only a year or two before you, and I don't even talk to Devin. I got my buddy Doug in Iowa, and I've known him since I don't know, fucking high school. So like, I haven't talked to him for a long time. I haven't seen him for like 5 years. So like, yeah. I don't have a lot of close friends. So
I mean, we've often said that half the reason we do this podcast is because it was an excuse for you and I to hang out.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, a lot of that's my fault, but yeah, I definitely think that the idea of the show being called Friends is on point.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
It summarizes everything you need to know about the show.
Yep.
Now, I think that the cool thing about this reunion episode, whatever the fuck you want to call it, special, is that this was the first time in
17 years?
Yeah, in 17 years that all 6 of them were in the same room together.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how that would be for spending 10 years. So the way I look at it is like high school. Now, I wasn't like this necessarily, but I guess a lot of people were. High school is 4 years, right?
Yep.
And you might have those friends that you spent all 4 years in high school really close, your little clique, your little gang, whatever it is. And then high school ends and everybody just kind of goes live their lives and go separate ways.
Yep.
And you might keep in contact. You might see each other every once in a while, but you're not as close as you were, right? So it just kind of ends in high school and people cry and all that during graduation, whatever. I didn't have that. But imagine being 10 years spending every freaking day together.
Yeah.
16-hour days for that matter.
Meals together, you know, all your time, like all your spare time, like all that shit.
So it was family. You can't help but grow so attached to these people because you're forced to. First of all, you're getting paid to. You're contracted. You're forced. You're stuck. You just gotta live.
The fact that they actually got along naturally and it doesn't seem fake.
No.
And that I'm sure there's a lot of ensemble shows where people are just they're hating, behind each other's back, and it's not natural like they were.
We were just talking about like How I Met Your Mother, and I guess there's a lot of things like Allison
Janney. No, that's
Hannigan.
Hannigan.
Yeah.
Allison Janney's a entirely different actress.
Was not a big fan of Jason Segel.
Who she's supposed to be married to in the show?
Yeah, they were married, their husband and wife and all this stuff, but I guess she wasn't like a huge fan or like, I don't know, certain points of like him smelling or hated cigarettes that he smoked or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of shit. There's some tension or something.
Yeah.
But these fuckers here and friends.
Well, and they reference it towards the end of the show, like, the bond is so strong. It's like even if they ran into each other at a party, like that was the end of the night.
Yeah.
Like you apologize to the people you're with, but you were there with someone who you like were, connected to. So like everything else just kind of took a back seat.
Yeah, I think
I think it might have been Matt LeBlanc.
No,
it was Matthew Perry.
Matthew Perry. That was like his one. He longest
contribute a lot.
His longest dialogue in that whole thing, and I'm glad he didn't because he's a little off kilter. His mouth looks a little fake. Those dentures or whatever.
I'm gonna go into this real quick.
Okay, it's probably drug induced repercussions.
And I noticed the symmetry in the fact that there was one from each side, one of each sex that has aged very well and looks really good.
Yep.
One set that looks their age, but not terrible, and one that looks fucking frightening.
Matthew Perry.
Matthew Perry and Courtney Cox are terrifying.
Yeah.
Like Courtney Cox has had so much work done at this point.
Yeah.
She
it's
looks
sad.
Like she kind of looks like the from like Escape from LA. Do you remember that part where they see all the people that have had all that plastic surgery done and their fucking faces are all whacked out?
I think so.
That's what she reminds me of. Like, it's fucking gross and crazy how bad she looks.
Better than when she. Doesn't matter. She looks fucked up.
I've never found her attractive, but she was more attractive naturally than all this work.
Yeah, it's sad
when
to
she was
watch
younger,
her.
Like when she was doing
Mickey
the show
Rourke
originally.
that shit.
I never found her overly attractive, but
Let me,
I know.
Let me guess. Lisa Kudrow and David Schwimmer are the best looking ones?
No, they look their age.
They look their age? Okay.
Like they look like they're going into their age well.
See, I actually thought that David Schwimmer was the one I was more shocked. I'm like, that guy does not look as haggard as I feel like he should be.
No, he looks good for his age.
He looks good.
But Matt LeBlanc looks fucking phenomenal for his age.
Other than gaining his weight.
Right. His dad bod is
on point. Like
12 dad bods.
But he's also I don't know. He's been trying to keep his career relevant, unlike David Schwimmer.
He's been on shows and shit.
Yeah, he's had his shows. That's what I'm talking about. But David Schwimmer's kind of taken off the spotlight, and he's. I
think he's writing and stuff now.
He's producing. He's doing a lot of the theater stuff again. He's writing. He's producing, directing, and all that stuff. But the thing is, other than Jennifer Aniston, his net worth is more than anybody else.
Well, because he's most prolific. Yeah, like he's working.
He's working, exactly.
Yeah. And I think Matt LeBlanc has that show like he's
Extras,
like a dad or
episodes.
Extras with Ricky Gervais, but there was like the rewrites or something like that where like he like took like a couple that was writing the show.
It's on Netflix, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
and
I've seen the
first
cover. I haven't watched it.
You're talking about one where he's a dad. It's
like he has 3 kids or something.
No, I was just watching this.
I
Best
watched
Dad Ever is the Robin Williams film.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I've watched like one episode of it and it was fine.
I enjoyed
it.
I watched all of it, but it got canceled. There's only 5.
Did it? Okay,
3 or 4 seasons, I guess.
But like, so he hasn't been doing it. Like he's still working, but he's not doing quite as much as Schwimmer's doing.
No, not work wise, no. But
he's just like he's more in the spotlight.
And then Jennifer Aniston obviously is the high prolific actress. Like she's the one. She's a superstar in this.
Yeah,
as she deserves to be.
And then
really
Lisa Kudrow would be right there. I think. Well. Technically, I think that it would go Jennifer Aniston and it would go Courtney Cox. I'm very
Goddamn
debatable
Cougar
about the
Town.
Courtney Cox thing because I'm not a huge fan. I've never really been a huge fan. Although
No.
I never thought she was bad looking, especially during Friends when she was younger.
Just too damn skinny.
But yeah, they're all too damn skinny in my opinion. Other than
But
Lisa
Courtney
Kudrow.
Cox is the
Lisa
toothpick.
Kudrow was like, I think she was kind of perfect.
No, I just was talking
Yeah.
about Courtney
Body-wise.
Cox.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Lisa Kudrow is beautiful.
Yeah, I think she's one of those where she's not drop dead gorgeous. She's not Hollywood crush material necessarily, but she's the kind of girl that you just a woman that you know.
She's the everyday girl.
Yes.
Like you
Yeah.
kind of
girl
see
next
like,
door or
"Ah."
whatever kind of thing.
Like yeah, for sure.
Like I wouldn't pass it up.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think she's aged very gracefully.
Her and Schwimmer like look like they're going into their ages
see.
very easily.
I see.
And but Aniston and LeBlanc look like they've aged super well.
Yeah,
And the only
just
thing that I
gut
couldn't
on him is just too much.
the only thing I couldn't get over with Jennifer Aniston was those fucking glasses she kept wearing.
Yeah.
Those weird librarian glasses that she was wearing. I was like, take
Kept
those
taking,
off.
She kept taking them off and on though. Like she consistently kept putting
Because
them
she
on
had
her
to
face.
read. She needs them when she
yeah,
reads
they're
scripts.
just they're readers, and that's all they are. But like, I was like,
Why do they have to be so fucking wide?
fucking get some regular
This is
fucking
not-
glasses.
It's not the 80s anymore.
I will say that so Jennifer Aniston, like I think she was just gorgeous. She was super super pretty when she was younger and on Friends.
when you
and-
were younger.
well, when she was younger too.
we
I think
were
that show Rise of
young.
Right Now. I think she's aged. She's a very beautiful older woman.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I think she's beautiful. I don't think she's. I don't know. All that attractive anymore compared to. I'm not judging. I just think she's very
I
beautiful.
think we
I
should
think
get off.
as
Yeah,
I think
that's
as
true.
it stands, like she's going into her age
Yeah.
much better than the other ones are. She's aging much better.
Yeah.
I didn't find any of them that attractive.
Yeah. I don't
Like
know.
that's my stance, and like I'm sure someone's gonna fucking crucify me for like, oh, she's beautiful.
My
I don't
Hollywood
care.
crush as a kid through the 90s and probably till like high school was Tia Carrera and
Ooh, Tia Carrera.
back when she was in Wayne's World and shit and
yeah.
not high school high. Yeah, high school
High
high.
School High, yeah.
I just man and True Lies.
It's
True
me.
Lies.
It's me. I know.
True Lies was the one that settled with me. She
Yup.
wore that power suit like a fucking champ.
I
you know,
forgot about Tia Carrera.
Anyway,
Holy shit.
I thought she was so attractive as a kid, and then it was J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, and the biggest reason is Jack, the movie Jack, where she
word.
plays the school teacher. I don't know what it was, but she was just drop dead beautiful, and I just loved it.
I was always attracted
She
to
is-
Alyssa Milano.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still attracted to Alyssa Milano.
Her,
Like if she showed up and was like, drop everything, let's go, I'd
Anyway.
burn everything to the ground.
anyway. Oh, so okay, so
Start with Netflix.
this reunion thing, like, what was it that I'm gonna ask you, Jason, because you were the first one. You actually brought it up to me
Yeah.
because you were like, "Hey, have you watched that Friends reunion?" I'm like, "No, I didn't know it was like I didn't know it was out yet." And you're like, "I watched it. I was shocked." That was all you said. I'm like, well, I'll go give it a
Yeah,
shot
I didn't
then.
want to spoil it for you
So, what was it that?
or ruin it.
What was it while you were watching it? Like, what was it that lured you in? What was it that made it seem so good to you, and why you thought it was so good? Like,
Why? Okay, because I clicked on it thinking there's no way I'm gonna finish this. I even thought an hour and 47 was a long time to watch some Friends shit, and I assumed it was just gonna be some flashback episodes and memories and stuff like that, which it was, but they did it well. Like it didn't seem like there was many scripted bits besides like that game they
table
were
readings
playing
and
the table reads. But really, them just sitting around talking, it felt like a podcast. And then James Corden, it felt like a well done interview. And then they went back and watched them watch bloopers and some flashback things, and they were merging the scripts scenes with the real scenes. So they were just blending the nostalgia and the right now together so well. And I was like entertained. Not every time I was bored, it only lasted like a minute or two. Like in the beginning was probably the boring, like, oh, look at this set. And I totally get it. Like being in that set for 10 years and all that time, like you were saying earlier, that a lot of time spent there. But
it was their second home.
Yeah,
for 10 years.
for sure.
And then that's about it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just felt unscripted and natural, and
Sure.
it gave me a little bit more than what I expected, which was fun.
Aaron, did you like it? Because you kind of seemed like you didn't care for it.
Okay, it's not that I didn't care for it. I just because I didn't watch. Like I didn't give a shit about Friends when it was on.
You were a Seinfeld.
No, I wasn't a Seinfeld guy either. Couldn't watch. I still can't watch Seinfeld.
I feel like it's always like those two. You either watch Friends or you watch Seinfeld.
I don't know what I was watching at the time. I
Those
couldn't tell you
were
what was
the
on.
Most
were the
popular,
two big ones.
Yeah,
in
that's
the
what I'm
They were the
saying.
two big
Yeah,
ones, but
true.
I didn't fucking get
I
into
was
them.
Seinfeld back in the day.
I was mostly Friends, I think, but I was both. I watched them both. Anyway.
But having not watched Friends until I got into my late 20s, like my very early 30s, like I thought the show was well done. I enjoyed it. I laughed. I thought I didn't get into it, but I mean, I got into it enough to where like I got emotionally invested at times.
Now you're talking about the show.
This is the series.
Yeah,
like,
the
so,
series, not
but
the special.
I have to be honest, and this kind of feeds into the like them talking about the finale at the end. I gave less than a fuck about this reunion. Like everyone was like, "Oh, the Friends reunion." Is like, who cares? Like, unless they're doing a reboot, which I didn't want them to do. Like, I don't care about this. Like, you can't really do much to make me enjoy the show anymore. And it's like, I didn't get the emotional journey that like all these fucking people that had.
Yeah, right.
Like they kept interviewing people from different like walks
That
of
was
life.
that
and
was the
countries.
other part that was a little hard to watch and went on a little too long. I was like, oh my god.
The guy talking about his dad like having brain cancer and shit like that.
Yeah,
Like, what the fuck is this?
I sound like an asshole, and I get it because the show has helped me through breakup like moments. You know when like you're fresh after a breakup, all sad, like you finally understand some fucking 80s 90s love song. You're like, oh shit, I never really listened to the lyrics before. Like How I Met Your Mother and Friends. Like when I'm in those slumps, I'll watch shows like that, and it makes me feel better for some fucking reason.
I understand, man. For me, it's always when I go down anytime I get my heart broken or whatever it is, I get depressed, whatever happens. I always watch romantic, like hopeless romantic comedies.
Yep, me too.
Just the ones that are like, oh, the chick didn't quite get the guy she wanted, but she found this
it's
guy
the
or
worst
whatever. Like the
worst,
Notebook.
Am I the only one that doesn't do that? Like
in this room?
Yeah.
apparently, because I just fucking sit and like get angry at stuff. Like,
First of all, Aaron,
Well, you
I don't
should
think you've had as
try.
many relationships as we have. So
that's probably very true. Most
that's
of mine
all
were very
different.
short-lived before I got into the last one I was in. So
yeah. You haven't been able to emotionally get attached to anything other than for a while at least.
But
As much.
anyways,
yeah, for sure.
sorry, I kind of tangented off on. You were talking about the people across the world.
But
telling
yeah,
their
I mean
story.
the whole thing. Like I thought that was a little cliche, and B, but like I didn't get that same emotional journey because I didn't watch it till I was very much older, and like it didn't resonate with me the same way. But like I agree with you, like the table reads when they were blending the episodes in with the actual table reads, I thought that was really well done, really cool. I actually really, for me, I thought was interesting. I was really enjoying listening to the people that created the show talk about it.
That's what I forgot to mention too.
I
The
really
writers really sold it for me too.
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to them talk about, trying to cast the show, why they wrote it, how they wrote it, all this stuff. I actually got into that, and I don't get into that shit.
I will admit, that was really fascinating. The casting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole
fascinating.
casting bit was really
This
interesting.
is really nothing new to me because I was invested in Friends. I've watched it all. I even saw the behind the scenes because of the DVDs that I used to have.
We get it. You have spare time.
Where?
Had.
But what it was that I thought was really interesting was out of all of the people that they cast or that they auditioned for, the only one they went after
David
was
Schwimmer.
David
Schwimmer,
Schwimmer.
For his sad boy fucking face.
And he's probably the one that I dislike the
Me
most.
too.
It's because he's an asshole.
And he was just always mopey.
Mopey, correcting
Ross
people, over
is
enunciating.
Ross is
But he did well.
Yeah.
He really
Did it well.
Ross ostensibly is a bitch for one, and B, the biggest douche nozzle of the whole show. Between
pretentious.
He drives from being mopey and bitchy to like being like
pretentious
I'm better than you.
asshole.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing
Very,
like
very
if
pompous.
if you go back and look at him, there's no redeeming qualities about Ross.
And here's the other thing, like, out of Chandler and Joey, he's the least attractive one in my opinion. The only difference is he has the height and he has more of a build. Other than Joey, he just doesn't have the height.
And
You
he's
know what
got
I'm saying?
money.
Well, yeah, he had money.
Well,
He was the
so
only
did
one that was
Chandler.
responsible.
Chandler probably had all the money.
Chandler,
You know, he was,
well, later
he was
on.
handling the weenus.
Later, later on,
That shit pays off.
later on, Chandler ended up having most of the money. I don't.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I agree. He was the least attractive.
The least attractive, the least likable character of the whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yet somehow you, because of like Jennifer Aniston and stuff like that, like you rooted for him.
Way out of his league.
So he was
Exactly.
punching way above his weight class.
Exactly.
It's also creepy when in the show that you know he was like 5 years older than her, and not in like real life, but like when they were in high school, he had a crush on this like 14-year-old
yeah.
while he was 18.
He was in college,
Yeah.
crushing on his her at her prom, those old school videotapes and shit.
Before she
So
had her
He
nose
was playing
job.
his keyboard.
There's this line that I caught last night. So there's this line that I caught, and it's when they're doing the table read of like when they finally kiss, and he's like, oh, so we just go back to not ignoring the feelings. Like I've been doing it since the 9th grade. I was like, 9th grade? What the fuck is the matter with you?
Right? Yeah. That I don't know. I don't mind David
Yeah,
Schwimmer
no
for
shit.
the
I never
most
thought
part.
about that.
He's a fine actor.
yeah.
Like he's
You guys
good.
ever see him in Band of Brothers? You guys ever see Band of Brothers?
I feel like
Not
I
for a
have, but I
long
don't
time.
remember it. at
He's
all.
that asshole commander.
I hadn't
They
saw
get
it in
rid
a
of-
long time.
And
Yeah, it's
I don't
been-
even know
it's
if I
been
watched the whole thing
really, how do you
years.
start that and not finish it?
because
But also on HBO Max.
I was like
check it out.
13,
It was like because
12 or 13 when that came out.
I'm not
That was
90
my-
years old. I don't give a shit about the World War II.
Right. The only,
Well, it's
only
really well
World
done.
War-
You should watch it.
the only film like that I gave any fucks about was Saving Private Ryan. And that was mainly because
because
it
Tom
had
Hanks.
Tom Hanks. And
Yeah.
I love Tom Hanks
Do
no
me a
matter what he's
favor,
in.
watch Band of Brothers.
Because it wasn't the Thin Red Line is what came out right after
Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
and that was
Terrence
Nick Nolte,
Malick
and
film.
and
Yeah, that
everyone
was
like,
terrible.
nah.
But that's because that was an art film, though. That's something like that. The Thin Red Line was phenomenal, but you have to really appreciate Terrence Malick's work to
No, I
really
don't.
understand it. So
But
Tell
yeah,
me
he
what I
wasn't
have
in
to
a
do.
lot of Schwimmer wasn't in a lot of other stuff besides Friends, right? Is that why?
at the time, he was
Initially,
doing
no.
he
theater.
did that
so,
dumb
yeah.
movie Paul Bearer with Gwen, the lady with the vagina smelling candles. She's the
Gwyneth Paltrow?
yeah.
What the fuck just happened?
You haven't heard about that?
I don't know what just happened.
She sells candles that smell like her vagina. All right. I hope
Wow.
I'm right.
I kind of wish I
Oh.
found her more attractive because I tried to buy one.
Yeah, I wish he wasn't a fucking stick.
But yeah, he was in
Wow.
that movie, and that movie was
the
garbage.
What
did you just do?
You just derailed the podcast. Fuck.
No, it's been fucked since Tim's.
No, don't turn this around on me. Don't try to pull that shit.
What now? You want to talk about vagina candles?
No. Jesus.
What the fuck is happening? Oh my god.
I don't know how to salvage this at the moment. How do we get... The track's way back there now, and we're just fucking
no.
fucking rocky train in the desert right now. I don't know what just
I
happened.
gotta actually look at my notes, the few that I took, because I just wasn't.
What were we talking about before
We were
vagina
talking
candles?
about
Fuck, I
David
don't know.
Schwimmer not being in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the only thing I actually remember him
Oh.
in other than Friends that I can recall is I think it was the Iceman Killer
Never heard of it.
with Michael Shannon and
Oh,
Chris
the
Evans.
Iceman? Yeah.
Oh, is that what it is? Iceman. It's
Yeah.
about the Iceman
Oh.
Killer. Yeah, the Iceman. Great film, by the way.
I only watched part of it, but yeah, I
Isn't he
remember
like
the movie.
Chris Evans plays the ice cream killer. He drives around in a truck just blowing shit
Yeah.
up, I guess. Anyway,
Isn't
it's
him-
super good. But he plays a guy in there who's like this supposed to be like a gang, like a mob
Yeah.
person or whatever, and he's just ridiculous because he's just a fucking pussy.
Yeah. That doesn't seem to match.
No, that's the only other thing I can think of I've ever seen him in. I can't think of anything else. Okay, let's bring it back. So, out of the show, I mean, we've all watched it at some point. So far, Jason, who's your favorite character out of the show? Just the actual series. Just who did you like more?
I guess I want to say Chandler because of all
Chandler.
because of all of his jokes.
You
or
were not
whatever.
in the show. Get over yourself.
This is why I like the show so goddamn much.
Right?
He just
But
transposed
really, I
himself.
never like attached myself or related to any of them. Like them bantering together and bouncing off their dynamics together, like the six of them or the few of them. Like, okay, I want to change my answer. The fucking Chandler and what's his name? Fucking how
Joey?
you doing, Joey? Fucking those two together, I like the most.
Their friendship was one of my favorite parts.
And they are the comedic
Because-
duo.
yeah, and either of them, like on their own,
Are good.
no. So I think it's
I don't know. I think
It's weird
Joey
just-
holds his own very
Joey
well.
holds his own.
And so does Chandler. Like he's the awkward guy. Like he's the one that you put him in any situation, he makes it uncomfortable.
Yeah, I
he makes
know.
it awkward.
I know.
He's awkward. So therefore,
yeah. So it have to be Chandler and then Chandler and Joey together.
okay.
Sure. I am in the same boat, I think, as Jason, because I think Chandler was probably the one that I enjoyed the most.
Yep.
Just because of the way he made things awkward and like his reactions were more comedic for the most part. I agree though that Joey held his own. I also enjoyed Phoebe. Phoebe and Joey probably competed for my second favorite character.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my answer on that one.
Phoebe
Hey-
was great, yeah. Is great, yeah.
You can definitely tell we're all friends because I'm same way. Joey and Chandler. I can't separate the two. Like I do like them both individually, but together they are fucking gold.
Yeah. They could have had their own spin-off show.
They
As
should
opposed to,
have.
That
as
was
opposed
probably
to
the
Joey
flaw
having his
to
own
When,
Joey
spin-off.
having
when
his.
Matt LeBlanc went and did Joey, they should have just brought Chandler along,
Yeah.
and it would have probably done something.
I think
It
the
probably
problem
would have
was,
lasted a season or two.
Some of it probably was more like Matthew Perry's substance abuse problems, I think, had
Yeah.
developed at that point.
yeah, that's probably.
You guys
true.
ever watched the whole 9 yards, the whole
Yep.
10 yards, those movies?
Yep.
I just rewatched the whole 9 yards the other night.
Yeah, it's on Netflix or some shit like that,
Yep,
right?
It's on Netflix.
Pretty
Loved it.
damn good movie. And he is Chandler in all his fucking movies or whatever.
He really is. Like,
He plays. He's
brings
got one
Matthew
skill,
Perry.
one
He brings
one
that
delivery
same
system. of
neurotic
jokes.
energy to any role he fills.
But
Like,
we find out why in this reunion.
Yeah,
He's always looking for a laugh. If he doesn't
Yeah.
get a laugh,
And I
he doesn't
totally
he's
feel
always
like
looking
he's
for the
doing it.
laugh he's expecting.
Yeah,
That's the way he says it. Like, 'cause if he
which is
doesn't
a
get-
little pompous, but yeah, I
little bit,
get
but,
it.
like,
It's a little arrogant.
It's neurotic, is
yeah,
what it is.
yeah.
Like,
it's
But I
it's
get
more
it.
sad than anything. Like he
it
needs.
is very.
So I guess
He needs
people probably
acceptance.
heard that, but I totally relate to that shit. But the way he in
but Jason, you're
that
not
field, the
funny.
way you reach for it or whatever. What? Damn it!
Yeah.
I missed your karate chop. Fuck.
Just kidding.
Oh fuck you!
ref
I'm
takes
gonna
a
edit
point
this
away.
shit out. I don't know what you said. Don't say it again. Can't wait to hear it. Looking forward
We're
to
gonna
it.
say it every 5 minutes now, just to make sure you can't get it all out.
The JJ candles.
All right,
Anyway, fuck. God damn it.
Aram, your scalp is turning red.
Oh Christ!
God damn it! You guys are laughing hard at something I didn't hear. It's pissing me off a little bit.
I'm
we
still
can't help
laughing
that
at-
you're old.
I'm still laughing at the fact you said JJ candles.
Can't see in one eye. You can't hear with their shit.
My hearing aid appointment is next week. Will you drive me to it?
No.
Will you pick me up? Because I'll be disoriented.
I'll probably be taking your shift because nobody else can do it.
Wait, real talk. Are you actually getting a hearing aid?
No, but I really,
that would
real
suck.
talk, I fucking should make an appointment.
I'd be great for your band.
Let it be known that I don't.
I can't hear the PA. Turn your hearing on.
I don't work with Jason and Tim, so like these little inside jokes, I'm not in on yet. So that's why I had to stop and be like, wait, are you actually in on that?
Yeah, well, you get a car. You could come work for us.
Yeah, it's possible.
Anyway, we're getting off topic.
Yeah.
Back. Let's pull it back.
All right, we were talking about Matthew Perry. He's done very little as well. Those movies. And
He's done like a handful, definitely more than David Schwimmer.
Well, David Schwimmer had a
For acting, at
IFC series. It was like 1 or 2 seasons where it's him and
What the fuck is IFC?
IFC Independent
It's
Film
a,
Channel.
yeah.
I know, but like that's almost a non-existent
It
thing.
maybe have been an AMC.
Oh, is that a
series.
dated reference? Is that what you're yelling
Well,
at him about?
what I'm getting at is like I don't think it's a mainstream thing, so I don't think a lot of people know what it is.
Independent Film Channel? I'd
Yeah.
hope it's not a fucking mainstream thing.
right? Boy, that opened up a whole can of worms.
That's so
Fucking
meta.
oxymoron.
That's so meta. What? Independent filmmakers are now mainstream? That
That's
doesn't
a
make it
whole-
independent.
That's a Patton
That's
Oswalt
Netflix
bit
right
is
there.
what that is.
That's
Oh, yeah.
Netflix.
yeah, pretty much.
Netflix is like the mainstream independent film company.
Yeah.
We've talked about this, so
Yeah.
they're basically a paradox.
Listen to Patton Oswalt talk about reality TV for a while, and there's one bit that he does that coins that pretty well.
I like that. Anyway.
Speaking of which, did you watch that what's it called?
Modoc?
Okay, so
I
you
watched
have.
an episode.
Yeah, it's hard to watch. But
I haven't gotten into
He
it
does
yet.
the voiceover. It really helps.
I haven't gotten to
He's,
it. Anyway,
yeah, he's the voice of Modoc. But
so
yeah.
we were talking about how we
sure.
like the characters and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and then
We all established our favorites. Or
yeah. So the reason why I was bringing that up was I wanted to know for this reunion coming back now. The work is basically what I was getting at. Is like as characters, like as a series went on, like we had our favorite characters, and you knew that like you gotta know you wanted to see more.
yeah.
But it's just shocking on how big and popular these characters were, but the actors didn't really do a lot of work other than there's like 3 main ones. And we were just hitting that mark in our kind of, I don't know,
Yeah.
banter
I mean-
and our little tangent. And that was Jennifer Aniston, Lisa Kudrow, and
I can't
Matthew.
even tell you what Lisa
Courtney
Kudrow-
Cox, I guess. So
I
basically,
can't even tell
it's
you
all
what
the
Lisa
women.
Kudrow's been doing. What
Who?
has Kudrow been doing? Lisa Kudrow.
Well, she's in a lot of things that she pops up. Like she was in
Oh,
Easy
yeah.
A. She's been in.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Her
I
show,
handful
The
of things
Comeback, was pretty
that.
fucking funny, but it never got more than 1 season.
What?
Her show, The Comeback, it was like 10 years
I
ago.
don't think I saw it.
It's pretty fucking funny. It's pretty clever.
But
okay.
you still see her coming in a little
Yeah.
little
Like,
blips here and there.
Between LeBlanc and Courtney Cox, they've had the most TV time, it seems.
Courtney Cox has been in a lot of stuff though, because she's
Ace
really
Ventura.
yeah. I mean, but she's also big fans, or she's not big fans, but she's really close with Adam Sandler. She's been in like 2 or 3 of his films.
That's she.
Really?
Yeah, she was in
What
The Longest
ones?
Yard. She was in Bedtime. Yeah, Bedtime Stories. Like so, like, but she also had
Oh.
her own entire TV series too.
Well, yeah, that's
yeah.
what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
that
Cougar Town.
one-
That was kind
yeah,
of
they
my
drink
Cougar
favorite.
wine
Town.
all
That's
the
what
time.
it was.
Yeah, Cougar Town and like, and I think of
Cougar-
Joey,
yep.
the various shows that Matt LeBlanc has done.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where I like, you know, I'm saying like Courtney Cox and LeBlanc have had the most TV time.
Yeah, I've only seen Matt LeBlanc in maybe 2 films.
Yeah,
couldn't even tell
there's
you
one
what they are.
about a monkey baseball player. That was
Oh, yeah. The 90s and
The Lost in
Animals.
Space is the only film I remember, but he was
Oh
also
yeah, he
doing
did Lost in
Friends.
Space too.
But he was
Yeah.
doing Friends at that time too. So
Isn't it sad?
same with
that
Ace
his
Ventura.
movie-
She was doing
Courtney.
Friends
Yep.
when she was in there. So
Isn't it sad that his movie career has been such that I thought of the monkey baseball player one before I thought of Lost in
right,
Space.
and Lost in Space I thought was great.
I
enjoyed the
Gary
shit out of
Oldman,
it.
Alan Hurt.
Yeah, William Hurt.
William Hurt.
Alan
Oh, yeah,
Hurt?
Al-
Who the
I
fuck
think
is Alan Hurt?
I think I was thinking of Alan Alda.
You were mistaken, Alan.
I'm just
Alda.
mixing Allens and Williams and all that shit.
William-
Well, no, there Alan Hurd or Ellen Hurd. I swear there's another one like that, but whatever. we'll get off that
Yeah.
because
Anyway.
that was my mistake.
Lost in Space was a good one.
Yes.
Anyway,
When did The Longest Yard 99 come out? 97?
I don't know. I've only watched
Matthew
the movie
Perry is
once and it was
probably
okay.
still doing Friends as well. So
You mean the whole 9 yards?
the whole night. What did I say? The Longest Yard?
Yeah, yeah.
those are the longest.
Hold
I'm
on
like,
there.
where
I was
was
gonna
he?
say, I think
I don't even remember Courtney Cox being. Well,
I
no,
would
kinda
assume
She was
that
the- she's the wife.
those movies,
In the
the
beginning.
Friends was on there as well.
That was when she got her boob job.
Who?
Courtney Cox in The Longest Yard.
Uh,
Yeah. Anyway, the point what I was getting at is
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, the whole 9 yards was that's how he did. That's how Bruce Willis ended up coming onto Friends. Was because he lost a bet or something with Matthew Perry.
yeah. So it was like 90 something.
Yeah.
It was like 99 or 90. Yeah, I feel like it was like 99 when that movie came out.
yeah,
I feel
that
like
sounds about right.
because I do believe that Armageddon had already come out or was at least coming out. God, I'm curious now. Anyway,
That's a whole timeline we're gonna have to rip apart.
all right.
Wouldn't it be awesome if they were in the same universe?
What was Bruce Willis in Friends? Was he?
He was Jennifer Aniston's
Father.
boyfriend.
Or no, that's
He
right.
was a
Father.
boyfriend for a while.
Boyfriend,
Yeah.
that's right.
He wasn't the pilot, was he? No, that was
No.
Lisa Kudrow who had the pilot.
Paul Rudd?
No.
No,
I don't know.
I don't fucking
They're
remember.
a bunch of fucking.
One of them had
sluts.
a pilot, like he was like an air pilot, like a
Yeah,
plane
I
pilot.
don't-
And then
yeah.
I was like, well, that would work, but no, in Armageddon he was Bruce Willis was a
I think Bruce Willis was
oil
just like
rig.
a corporate guy.
oil
I think
rig
he-
guy.
Yeah, I think he's
So,
a corporate guy
yeah.
that like,
Anyway.
they start dating her.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the point I'm still trying to get to was,
Sorry.
what is it? Out of these 6 people, who is it that you enjoy the most as an actor? Like, well, the stuff that you've seen him in, or have they progressed? Like, do you have a favorite actor for these 6? Like, you have your characters, but is there an actor that you prefer more over the character?
I'll let you go first.
You have to think about it.
Fuck you then. I'm
So we're
gonna.
sniffing vagina candles.
Fuck me right in my candle.
I'm still gonna go with Matthew Perry because the stuff that the movies I watched like between Serving Sarah, the whole 9, the whole 10 yards.
17 again? You ever seen that?
Haven't seen 17 again, but there's another movie. Oh well, the one he did with Selma Hayek. Fools Rush In.
Fools Rush In. That's a great one.
Oh
Great,
yeah.
and I've loved him in all those movies.
Although he's a dick in that movie. But yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a piece of shit
Yeah.
for at least a while in
yeah,
that movie.
definitely a good one.
But I thought he was great in all of them. Like he makes me laugh. Schwimmer, even in the show, Schwimmer didn't make me laugh the way the other 2 guys did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always just went, oh.
Right.
He made you make his sad face.
Oh, I made myself sad again.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
And
Fucking
and
Mopey.
like that.
That should have been his name, Mopey.
There was we interviewed a kid today at work, and he was walking around. And I was like, he reminded me of Ross because he wasn't smiling. He was like, And I was like, Jesus Christ. And I said it to Hillary. I was like, does he look like fucking Ross from Friends? She's like, no, you just watched the reunion special. So you're on a fucking kick about
I was
it.
gonna say that if that's not.
But yeah. But yeah.
I don't even like it.
Right? I was like, that was the other one. I said, even Hillary was like, I'm not surprised you didn't like it. That didn't seem like something you would enjoy.
No. I figured you wouldn't, but
And it was like
It's for the podcast.
It was fine. And like, I didn't for what it was, I didn't hate it. It just like I didn't care.
yeah.
So, and that's the way I'll say it about it. But yeah, I think Matthew Perry is probably still my favorite
As
as
an actor,
an
out of those
actor
ones.
because, like I say, everything I've watched him in, I've enjoyed him in.
Yeah.
Movies like with Romeo and Michelle, with Lisa Kudrow, things like that. She's been fine, but it's not something I ever enjoyed that much.
Yeah.
Or like Courtney Cox, like the only movie I can fucking think of, well, I guess Against the Longest Yard, is Master of the Universe, and I fucking hate that movie.
That was before Friends.
Right. And shit like that. Aniston, I get what everybody says about her, but she's just not my cup of tea. Like
Yeah.
I
It's
go
kinda
back
like
and
this,
forth.
yeah.
Like I'm sure she's great in roles. Like I won't take that away from her, but it's like I don't need.
I've never seen a film for her.
I may be in.
That's my whole thing.
I might get some shit for this, the way I'm going to say this, but I don't need a second Sandra Bullock. Which is what she's really kind of amounting to.
Interesting.
It's like, I don't hate anything I've seen Sandra Bullock in, but I don't care either.
Interesting.
And like, that's kind of just where she's kind of slotted in my worldview is like,
Okay.
she's a Sandra Bullock part 2.
Here's the sad part though, is I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
I can kind of see the comparison. Although I
never once thought about it like that,
Never
but you're
once.
not wrong.
No.
You're not far off.
I try not to make those kind of like comparisons like blindly. Like it just she's the first one I can think of. Like when I think of Jennifer Aniston, there's no movie I've seen where I couldn't put Sandra Bullock in the same role.
That is actually very fair. I've said the same thing about Matthew McConaughey and I think Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I think that Matthew McConaughey can play almost anything that Tom Cruise has done, but not necessarily vice versa.
Right.
And there's only a couple films that I will credit Tom Cruise into. Like,
Have you ever seen Matthew McConaughey run that fast?
No, Matthew McConaughey takes things too easy.
That's what I'm saying. To watch him fucking sprint across
I mean,
rooftops,
Sahara is the only movie
that'd be
I've
fucking
seen-
hilarious. I'm
Right.
not saying that you're wrong or anything. I'm just saying that'd be fucking funny to watch him try to run as fast as Cruise.
Sahara is really the only action movie I've seen Matthew McConaughey.
I never
do.
watched that one.
Other than
so-
Rate of Fire, but we'll get off.
But your favorite is Matthew Perry
yeah.
for
So,
an actor.
Jason,
Jennifer Aniston.
yeah,
Yep.
you're a sucker for Jennifer Aniston.
Yep. I'm also a sucker for Sandra Bullock.
Oh, we
so-
found a sweet spot.
So yeah, I mean, it's not the best answer following up that, but that makes sense on what he said. And I got no like, because what you just said also was kind of opened my mind, opened some doors. Is there's never been a movie made for her, right? Like written for her. Like she's driving force of it. Like it's always
I've
a
never
team
went
effort.
to the theater going, "Hey, I want to see Jennifer Aniston." today."
Yeah.
Never.
But I've
For
never
sure.
once been disappointed with her, and she's done so much. And
To a point, I've never been personally, but yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
so.
She's
But
always
my
been.
favorite is the breakup with her. And
She's
Vince
always
Vaughn.
been fine in her role.
Yeah.
I don't think she's ever blown any doors off anything for me.
No.
Well, and that's why I say, like, I could easily slot Sandra Bullock into that point and have the same reaction.
Which I
Yeah.
hate this.
No, I-
not hate. Actually, I don't hate it at all.
I like.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
They're interchangeable.
I like. Yeah,
That's
can't-
that's
you got me
the
stammering.
comparison I've never thought of.
Yeah,
And I
well
think
done.
like that all
I
the
have my
time. So,
moments.
right?
All right.
Aram gets one.
He does.
I got another one up
I'll
on the
edit
board.
that out.
Oh, that's true. He gets two.
Goddamn right.
Although we haven't discussed that one yet, so it's 1.5 until we.
But he made the
lean-
board. Give him his credit.
No.
Tim,
A point's a point's
answer
a point.
your own question.
Oh man. Honestly, I'm a sucker for Matt LeBlanc. I really
But
am.
has he? Oh yeah, I guess.
And even when he did Joey, the spinoff Joey, it was terrible. But I watched it because I love Joey.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the funniest things I've ever seen him do was when he's waiting for a fax and he keeps answering the phone because the phone rings. And he's like, he just like after a second, he's like, oh, he walks away and then he goes, it's like, answer the phones again. It's like, hello? It's like, stop calling me. Hangs out the phone and somebody's like, who's calling? It's like, I don't know, but it's like a prank call and they keep going, and
Oh my
because
god.
he's a fucking idiot and he doesn't realize it's the fax machine that's hooked up to his dial up. So, and he never got his fax. So I thought that shit was hilarious because I don't think anybody could have pulled it off so well and so believable other than the Joey character with Matt LeBlanc.
At that point, he had been playing Joey for so long. I don't think anyone could have done it. Any justice.
Yeah, absolutely not. But the point is I also really loved Lost in Space. And that was not a Joey moment.
No.
He was being this kind of like
He got
tough
to do
guy,
something a little
suave
bit
kind
better.
of tough guy. And it was fantastic. Now, he was doing Friends, but I thought it was great. I really loved the film, and I thought he was great in it.
Well,
And then he goes and does maybe a
The-
couple other things that I can't recall.
And I think that really like leans towards, or that kind of slots into what I'd like to talk about. It's like when they're talking about casting, and like Joey really hadn't done much, or Matt, I keep calling him Joey. Matt LeBlanc really hadn't done much, but I think what was interesting is the fact that after they got Schwimmer, and they had to battle to get Matthew Perry and Jennifer Aniston because like Matthew Perry did,
they're already
That
contracted.
scene
they're
of her
contracted.
other sitcom was so stupid and funny to
Yeah.
me. How often do you see steaks in here? That's how rare your
I
steak
fucking
is.
knew that was the joke the second he said.
Oh
it was
my
supposed to be
god!
rare.
Then you had to wait 2 minutes, 3 minutes to watch it.
to listen
get
to
to the
her listening to
punchline.
her talk with a southern drawl
Yeah,
was excruciating.
and then her remark on that was when she was like, "I'd rather do this other show," trying to quit, and the
That show
producer's
won't
like,
make you a star.
"Yeah,
No, that's something that like Jennifer Aniston is a huge star, but you
Oh, yeah.
know, as much as she's done a lot and credibility to her own, I think her and Brad Pitt when Brad Pitt because they were dating at the time,
Yeah.
came up on the show too. I thought I don't know. I thought it was unique for probably the time, but Brad Pitt's character in the show hated
Yeah.
Jennifer's character,
Yeah,
Rachel.
that's
Rachel.
right.
Rachel Green.
Hated her. Like he was
Something to
like
do
grabbing the
with high
wall
school.
and trying
Yeah.
to rip
She
something
teased
apart
him.
just
Like,
looking
she
at
was
it.
Yeah, he used
she
to be
teased-
fat or
yeah, he used to
something
be
like
fat.
that,
She
yeah.
teased him.
Yep. And so like the fact that I thought
See,
it was
that
kind
the
of
writers are creative.
yeah, and yeah, a lot of that's why Friends I think was so. Friends did not succeed just off of the actors alone. These were almost
No.
no-name
No.
actors. Actually, they were no-name actors.
So yeah, they did that on
They didn't
purpose.
do
Courtney
anything.
Cox
Yeah,
was
they
the only
wanted
one
new faces. Yeah.
that had done
Had done
anything
something,
noticeable. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
And-
Kudrow was in Mad About You, but that was.
Well, yeah, they said they basically.
I didn't know that
was
either.
great. I didn't know
Yeah.
that either. Now, I didn't
didn't watch
like,
Mad About You
I
either.
watched Mad About
I
You
dabbled.
when I was younger. I don't think I understood anything.
I didn't
about
get
it.
any of it.
Yeah.
Because it was all New York references.
Yeah, we live in fucking. Grew up in Iowa, so that's
Yeah.
far from
I
New
grew up in New
York.
Hampshire, so.
So you were the closest.
Yeah, but I'd never been to New York. Yeah, I still to this day still struggle some with Paul Reiser's humor, even though I can find him funny, but like I don't get a lot of his stuff.
Yeah,
I just find him funny that he's in Aliens.
Yeah, or
He
Beverly
he
Hills
is,
Cop.
isn't he?
Beverly Hills. Oh, yep.
He has his moments where I think he's all right. Even Mad About You
I
had
just
his
think
moments.
it's funny. It's funny that he's in there. How he got. He must have just know somebody.
But I hate
he doesn't
Helen
belong
Hunt.
in those alien movies.
I
care for
hate
Helen
Helen.
Hunt.
The only film that I've
Twister.
I've ever been okay with Helen Hunt in, and I think that she looks fairly attractive. And even then, it's like I don't know. It's probably the
Twister.
outfit. No, is what women want.
Is that one of the?
That's
Is that a
with
Mel
Mel
Gibson,
Gibson,
one?
yeah.
Okay.
That's probably the only time I'm like Helen Hunt. Yeah, I'd probably.
I
been
never
over.
had a problem with it,
Never
but I never.
once.
I just.
It made sense that her career was short run.
She's still acting.
No, yeah,
Really?
she's
still
starting to,
doing
she's
shit.
starting to look kind of scary. She's starting to look like a witch. But
That makes sense with that. Which nose?
well,
And
yeah,
hair.
between the nose, her face is starting to wrinkle a little
And
bit.
by
She's
the
just
way,
getting
the
kinda
only
scary
thing that
looking.
made Twister even remotely
The cow.
enjoyable and likable
Bill
was
Paxton.
what?
Bill Paxton.
Yes, was Bill Paxton.
And the cow.
We've got cows.
All right, fine.
Enough with Twister. Let's move on.
Well,
I was trying to get on Tim's
It was
nerves for
also
a
it was also
second.
filmed in Iowa, right outside of Marshalltown. That last scene with the farmhouse.
Yeah, so you see the cows
Boy,
flying
that
all
I've
the
seen
time.
that. I've seen the house.
that film would have been much better if she'd have gone up with her dad. Been a much shorter film.
oh man,
Oh, Paxton.
that's what this is how it should end. Would have done.
How should it? Whoosh. And
Bye.
that's it.
That's it. Do you know what we're talking about, Jason?
The beginning of the fucking Twister.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, but have you seen this? This is how it should
a
end.
series of videos, like each one is like how the movie should have ended.
It's
No,
like
I
it's,
never
it's,
heard
it's
of
an
it.
animated thing. It's fantastic. It's
Oh,
an
I'll have to
animated
write that
thing.
down.
Basically, they go through all these films and they shorten up to at least 20 minutes. Every film could be summed up like this, like Lord of the Rings. It was
That's
one I was like,
fucking hilarious.
this could. I was like, this is how it should have ended.
Have
And
the
it's
Eagles
basically
carry the-
the Gandalf call. They get the ring. They go through the meeting at whatever, and they get the ring. And then Gandalf calls the eagles, the giant eagles. They pick them up and they fly over by and they drop it, and that's it.
Exactly.
Basically, took Kevin Smith jokes right out of Clerks too.
Yeah.
So.
I have to check that out.
And it's all like and it's like all hosted, whatever the characters are hosted as Superman and Batman and Spider-Man or something like that are sitting in a diner talking. It's interesting. You should
Nice.
watch it.
I
Anyway,
should.
moving on.
But I was gonna
Friends.
say I would have loved to have actually watched the pilot that Matthew Perry was in because I am flummoxed by the idea for that show.
Oh yeah, that was
the
that space
airport.
time travel
LA
shit
the
or something.
airport.
It was LAX in the year 2194.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
So interplanetary travel is like a thing. So like he's a baggage handler in LAX in
Oh
the
my
year
god, that
2200.
shit looks so 80s. I loved it.
oh,
totally.
it looked
His
terrible.
hair.
Yeah.
His hair was poofy.
He was almost flock. It was almost
It's
the flock of
basically
seagulls. Yeah.
he basically has the same haircut now, but it's spikier.
right.
Have you seen his? It's like it's fucking poofy still, but it's just like it's now layered
I couldn't
or
stop
whatever.
looking at his teeth.
So
Or his lack of lips.
Right.
yeah, so
um.
what's out of learning about this reunion, what surprised you the most? To be honest, because like
I mean,
there was at least one thing I think I was pretty shocked about. That I was like,
I'd seen the headlines about it, but like the whole thing about David Schwimmer and Jennifer Aniston actually like
having
crushing,
chemistry,
having chemistry and crushing on each other. That was a big reveal. I think.
But it fell flat.
Yeah, I mean, it very much fell flat.
Yeah, Jason swears to God it's scripted.
Well, I wouldn't say. It just felt forced. I don't know. Like,
Well, and I'll agree with you on that because when they were doing the table read of the scene where they kiss, and Jennifer Aniston is like looking so intently at David Schwimmer, was like, they're trying to recreate this chemistry, and it's not.
and it's like
fucking
good
there.
job, actors, but I don't know.
Like, it's just. Yeah.
But then they showed footage of them like play wrestling, and it could have just been edited perfectly. From like, oh, maybe they did like each other for like the first year or some shit or whatever.
So you're saying this, but your eyes tearing up. So I don't get it, man. You're
in your eyes.
like a little
so
cloudy
glossy
as
and
it's
watery over there. And
money shot.
I think you need to rework your idea of money shot, but all right.
Would you like to help me?
Wow. All right, let's move on.
Yes.
So I honestly I think that was a shocker for sure. Yeah, definitely a shocker for me. I was like,
would
what?
have been more surprised had I not seen all the shit about it on fucking Facebook.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, see, and that's why I think they did it on purpose. I don't whether it's true or not. I don't know.
See, here's my thing.
They
Here's
made
my
a
thing.
out of
This
it.
is kind of what I thought about it. It was like, yeah, I bet you they did have chemistry back in like the first season. I'm sure even
Because who the
led
fuck's not
into-
gonna crush on Aniston back then?
But that's kind of how I
Especially him.
that's kind of how I felt. Though was like, my whole thing
Aaron
was,
Rosen
why would Jennifer
raised his
Aniston
hand.
have a crush on him?
Exactly.
But apparently he was a super nice guy.
yeah.
So, and which
Charming.
is really, really interesting because the Ross character comes off as a super nice guy, but yet we also talked a lot of shit about him
yeah.
and how
Yeah,
he's a
'cause
pompous
he's a
prick
pompous
and all this.
know-it-all.
Yeah, but yet apparently he's also the nicest one of them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's too nice. He's got the nice
Right?
nice guy syndrome.
He does, yeah. I think
gets
he
walked
does it
on.
because he wants to make sure he looks good.
It's his neuroses worked
Yes.
in that in favor of him being a nice guy, whereas like Chandler's neuroses caused him to be super awkward and super attention seeking, and like Joey's just Joey.
He doesn't. He's just Joey. He doesn't
Like,
have
Joey's
to.
just Joey. Joey's
He just goes, "How
devoid of
you doing?"
neuroses.
And he picks
so
up a
like, yeah, Joey's devoid of neuroses. So like, he's an entirely different animal.
Like I love when Reese Witherspoon as the sister
Yeah.
comes on, busts through the door. Everybody's like, "Who's this?" Fucking Joey's
How
like,
you doing?
How
No.
you doing? No. Yeah. He's like, what?
The other thing,
yeah.
I will say one of my favorite lines of all time with Joey is when there's an episode in Friends when Monica is making jam. She's on the jam kick. And and Joey loves food. It's something
Yeah.
that I also
Joey
really
doesn't
like
share
about him.
food.
I'm the same way. I relate to Joey.
We've talked about the way you eat like you're in prison.
I'll stab a bitch. I'm the same way. I relate to Joey a lot, but I absolutely love. They're sitting in the diner or in the coffee shop, and
Central Perk.
yep, Central Perk, and Monica is like, "Oh, do you want some jam or whatever?" But Chandler asks Joey, "He's like, Joey, do you like women or do you like jam?" And Joey's like thinking about it. He's like, "Put your hands together." And I was like, yes, that is the perfect answer you could ever have.
That a kid.
That is the great. I love it.
I will say
It's probably the
one-
smartest thing Joey's ever done.
so going back to Ross for a moment, there are two superb moments for me for Ross, and there's one where it's him and Rachel trying to keep her dad from like going over to the other party, and so like Ross keeps like trying to get stuff for him, but like Rachel's mother keeps catching him, so like he's starting to like he puts on the dad's like glasses, like puts a cigarette in his mouth, so he starts acting like the dad, and the mom's like, he's very weird, and like basically telling Jennifer Aniston like you shouldn't marry him, he's a lot like your father. and it's just that whole thing, the exchange between him and the dad after he catches him wearing his glasses and with like a
yeah.
cigarette in his mouth, it was very funny to me. And the other one is got to be when Ross is inspired to make music again,
Yep.
and he's playing the
Yep.
piano with those weird sound effects.
Yep. He goes on the stage at the Central Park and tries to dub.
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't
Lisa Kudrow thinks he's amazing, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck is
Yep.
happening?"
Yep.
And at the end, he's like, to give Phoebe her spot back, he plays a song that sounds just like everything else he's done, but she's like, "Oh man, he lost it." and he sits down and he's like giggling. He's like, "I didn't lose it." And he talks about how he did it on
Yeah.
purpose, and I'm like, "What?"
Yep.
So that's something Lisa Kudrow, I'm a little bit of a sucker. Anytime I see her in anything, I'm like, yeah, I like her. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
She's fun to watch.
She's fun to watch, and
Talented.
she's talented. She's funny. She's quirky,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a great. Like Phoebe is a great character for the weird, and that's something I thought was really interesting about this reunion is when they brought Lady Gaga on to
That's
do
who
that
that
little
was.
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Now here, I'm not a big fan of Lady Gaga. I have a
neither.
lot of respect for her because she's a fucking talented musician.
Yeah.
Very, very fucking talented. But she's weird as fuck. But yet, so appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole
I-
exchange was just out of nowhere. I thought it was 100% appropriate.
Yeah.
I was not on board with that whole musical scene until she said
It-
at the end, like, "Thank you for being the
being-
advocate for like the ones that were different." And I was
Yeah.
like,
The out of the
okay,
box, yeah.
I get that, and I get why Lady Gaga was there.
Yeah.
Other than, like,
I mean,
I
she was
was-
really
That's
fucking
what
out
I was
there,
gonna
but
say.
yeah.
I hated how she was sitting on the couch with the guitar. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, singing
I
the
hated the
Smelly Cat
beginning,
whole
but it
thing.
ended off nice.
and
And I didn't know that was Lady Gaga.
The other criticism I have is like Kudrow's reaction to Lady Gaga in the doorway. It was like it was Sesame Street for me. It was like, "Oh hi."
I felt the same way.
Like, what the fuck is this?
I said that to Kaylee. I'm like, what is this, fucking Sesame Street?
That's what I fucking wrote in my notes.
I said the exact same thing. It felt like Sesame Street.
Other than that, I thought that whole musical number was like
Oh,
I would have
my
been
goodness.
fine with Kudrow just doing Smelly Cat, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Once
And
again, this is why we're friends. Like,
Right.
But the ending, I
Yeah.
still think I'm better alone.
Yeah, and that was a very Phoebe thing to say. And
That
I
was
like,
extremely. That,
yeah, you are. Oh, you heard that.
yeah. Oh, you heard that? Okay.
That part was fine. I didn't like the music part. I was just like, why do we need this?
Yeah.
Like, why did because it's Lady Gaga, I get that she had to come on and do fucking music, but like, and yeah, she's a great musician, but I didn't need it.
It was a callback to the show, right?
Well, it
Because
was.
they have some rock star like pump up the volume, pump up the jam on the goddamn Smelly Cat song.
Well, there was a
I've seen
time
that
she
movie,
sold
Pump
it.
Up the Volume.
There was a time she
Christian
sold it
Slater.
as a commercial, and whatnot, or the
Yeah,
other
'cause
time
they-
they trying to make a music video.
Yeah,
out of it.
they yeah.
Oh,
I think it was a music video.
Kudrow
Yeah.
was pissed. Or
Smelly
Phoebe.
Cat? Yeah. Either way,
Yeah, 'cause they
the,
dubbed
the
her
whole
over.
thing about that whole little bit was I agree with everything we just said. I was like, what the fuck is this? I thought Sesame Street 2. I'm like, what the goddamn hell is this?
It was just her reaction.
And I'm like I said, as much as I'm not a fan of Lady Gaga, like I respect the shit out of her, but it wasn't until the end. I'm like, why is she on here? Why is she doing this? Like,
Yeah.
what's the point?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then she's basically like Lady Gaga's like saying to Lisa Kudrow, was like, thank you for like being the one that
I
expressed the
think she literally
weirdness.
called her like the advocate for
Of
the
weird,
weird and the
weirdness and
the
outcast and
out of
all
the
that.
ordinary
Although
ones.
it's basically the same shit the Breakfast Club did, so
yeah,
it's
it's
not
not-
as eccentric.
right.
And at that point, it was that point. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's basically Lady Gaga trying to give a complimentary like tribute
Yeah.
to Lisa Kudrow and her character as Phoebe. And Lisa Kudrow
Did we
just
really
killed
need
it.
did we really need the choir to come out though?
No, but that was the expression towards the commercial thing. Because
Was
they
it?
did that
Yeah, I
shit.
suppose. Yeah,
they
yeah,
did
yeah,
that
that's right.
same kind of like
Yeah.
produced,
That's
manufactured.
why. Yeah, that was a callback to
Yeah.
that.
Side note: The Breakfast Club, Ali Sheedy wasn't weird. She was emo before emo was cool. Because her parents ignored her. Sorry, felt like I had to put that out there. Anyway, going back, yeah, I did the whole Lady Gaga thing. Like I thought was,
I think we finished.
yeah. Did we finish? Yeah, I don't know. I,
It was
I had to
just
go on
like
that
this.
side note thing.
It
but
was
yeah.
one of those things I just agreed. I agreed with you. I was like, oh, what the fuck are we doing? And I was like, okay, the way they ended it worked for me.
Yeah, I got no moments where I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I didn't know that. There was a bunch of shit I didn't know, but
yeah.
I was just kind of like, that's cool. But
did
all I
you-
can really think of was Janice's laugh. The way
my
she explained
God.
that, I was
Yeah.
like, if that's true, that's pretty fucking cool.
Right? Because
That's
she was the
dope,
most annoying character
Yeah.
on the show.
But she was
Oh
all
my God.
nervous about playing with
Be
Matthew
more
Perry or
annoying?
whatever.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then-
I think just the sheer fact that that whole voice was
Yeah.
manufactured because like you
Yeah.
heard her talk in real
Absolutely.
life,
And then she
and
kicked
nowhere
into
near
it.
Yeah. Yep.
was very interesting.
I also really thought that bringing it, like Tom Selleck coming back too.
was great.
I was like, man,
That was
he's
important.
aged, but he aged super. He looks almost exactly like.
And
He's an immortal. Like
right?
He's looked exactly the
and
same
none of
since
that,
the
but
'90s.
Have you not noticed? Like I think I said this to Tim at one point. If you ever watch Blue Bloods or anything, look at how big his fucking hands are.
Yeah, you
He's
did
got-
mention this.
Paws.
Yeah.
Like he's got bear paws for hands.
I feel like you
they're
mentioned this in one of
gigantic.
our first episodes.
I may have
because
because I was watching Blue Bloods at one point and I was like, his hands are gigantic.
Yeah, I've never noticed, but
Well, he's a
speaking
big
of
man.
hand
He's a big
models,
general.
6'4".
Yeah, I thought he was like 6'4", 6'6",
Yeah.
something along those lines. But yeah, he's
and
a
he's
big
broad
man.
shouldered too. He's not like heavyweight, but
he's
he's
burly.
broad. He's got the very long, broad shoulders. He looks
Yep.
like fucking Lurch from goddamn Adam
for
Sandler.
sure.
Yeah, I guess we can. That's a good segue to talking about the cameos. Like,
Yeah,
they brought
Okay.
in some good stuff. They didn't bring in Ross's son, though, which I think later seasons is the kid that's in.
Big Daddy.
Yes.
Cole and Dylan Sprouse. That was from
Zach and Cody
Yeah.
from the Disney
Well,
Channel.
they
Sweet
didn't
Life
have-
of Zach and Cody. Is that
Sweet
what it
Life of
is?
Zach
I
and
don't
Cody and
fucking
Sweet
know.
Life on deck because apparently they got set on a boat at some point.
Lucky sons of bitches.
Some
That's what happens when you're a rich white
sank
person.
That fucking thing.
It's better than me and Miley Cyrus's.
I think we should just put them all in the same boat and sink it.
Whatever. That's called the Disney Channel.
Let's go.
Just sink the Disney Channel. I haven't read into it. I thought I saw something somewhere they talked about why Cole, like the Sprouse and Paul Rudd weren't at the reunion.
Oh, that was the other one. Yeah.
But like I don't know offhand why they weren't there. But that would have been the other one to like would have been kind of important to have. Would have been Paul Rudd.
I think so, and I think not, because he was basically only in one season. It was his
Final
10th
season. Final two.
maybe in the 9th. He might have been in 2 seasons, because I don't really remember a lot. I just remember when they went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
and that
It's not
kind
a
of thing.
big deal that he wasn't there. It just would have been cool. But he was probably
Yeah.
drunk. Paul Rudd likes to drink.
So do you.
Actually, the funny
would've
one would have
showed
been Giovanni Ribisi and
See, and Anna
uh,
Faris would have been a good one too.
Not fair.
She's the one who had the twins.
Oh,
She was the one who had
I
the
was
Chandler
thinking-
and Monica's twins.
I was thinking of Kitty from that 70s show because she's the one that marries Giovanni
That's
Ribisi.
right. Yeah,
That's right.
Because that's Lisa Kudrow's brother.
Yeah.
My sister's having my baby.
Yep. I think though, yeah. But then again,
There were a number of like
Yeah.
callbacks that would have been cool. I thought it was cool they got Gunther.
yeah, right.
That was cool.
I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
And he just
I
said
had
something
no
short
idea.
and simple, and I was
Yeah.
like, good for you, Gun.
He looked.
Did not look like he should have.
No,
been.
he
so,
did not.
okay.
I was like, who the fuck is this? And then when they told me, I was like, okay.
I'm gonna probably get some shit for this. I actually thought for a second that he had some mental disability
Oh, like
and-
he'd have a stroke or something like
or
that.
something. Like
Yeah.
maybe he needed a helmet. I don't know.
Kind of see that.
He was probably
Yeah.
just nervous.
Well, it was just I didn't know who the fuck he was.
Me neither.
Until they
He-
mentioned
he
his
looked
name.
Nothing like who he should.
And I'm
been.
like, looking at his apartment, I'm like, my house is better than that. That place is a dump compared to this place.
right.
That guy's probably never had another fucking thing.
Maybe, but either way, I thought it was kind of cool because he was a pretty prominent character. He
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was the manager of the
He's the-
Central Perk, and he was in love with
A
Jennifer
fiend,
Aniston.
or a
No, he wasn't the first season, but first season it was the dad from Alf.
Oh, it was
Man, I haven't
both.
fucking seen Elf.
Because sadly, I did watch a bunch of episodes after the reunion, and
Oh, were they in there at the same
Dad
time?
from Elf is the actual owner, and then Gunther is the manager, so it does go back and
word,
forth.
yeah.
Not, I hate that I'm able to correct you.
I just
by all
love.
means, fucking
I just
correct
like their little skit
I
or
just-
the little
it's
clip that they did with
pointless.
Gunther, where he's in Central Perk and he goes up to
he's like,
Rachel. He's
"What's
like,
your birthday?"
What's your
Yeah.
birthday, by the way? He's like, oh, May 5th. I'm like, yeah, that's my birthday. So I got a little giddy about
yeah.
that. I'm like, oh, I share the same birthday as Rachel and
So-
friends.
So all the celebrities they had talking about Friends, other than Reese Witherspoon, why the fuck did we care about any of those people? David Beckham, BTS. Who the fuck gives a shit how they feel about Friends?
Yeah, Mindy
Kaling.
Yeah,
I can kind of see her because she's like in that realm.
kind of. I
And,
get
like,
it.
I
the
can
same
at least
thought.
kind of
I
see
get
that.
it.
But like BTS, David Beckham, who the fuck
I
cares?
think the only reason why they threw that in there is to have some kind of prevalence to how impacted they were to other celebrities. I think that was the only thing that
Maybe, but
made a
Oh.
difference.
even to me,
And one
but-
of those names is the Game of Thrones guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
Kit
Kit
Harington.
Harington,
Yeah.
But when he was talking about the moving the couch up the stairs and how like little that looked on the
Dialogue.
that
page,
actually like
that was
worked.
pretty cool.
But
That was very
brilliant.
cool. That was actually
was
really well
brilliant.
done.
I mean,
Pivot.
because I've laughed at that scene every fucking time I've ever seen it. And it is nothing going on besides that.
It's literally a sight gag with him yelling one word.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
like,
well, that
And they
was-
give you some off-camera footage.
Once again, we mentioned this before in the beginning. It's the fucking writing. These writers are fantastic. Now, first of all, they're fucking rich as shit too.
as they should be.
As they should
They,
be.
they
But this,
I think all of the writers for that show, I looked it up, and I think they're all making, or at least have like a net worth of like $400 million.
Oh, I'm sure they made
they've
bank.
gotta be
'Cause
the
back in the
richest
90s, you made
writers.
bank off of sitcom.
Yep.
well, I mean, what
It
did
was-
they even,
but
visuals.
inflation and all that shit, royalties.
what did they even
But they
say
probably
about,
just knew how to lean on their actors as well with their writing. Because, like he said on that script, it's just nothing on that page.
Yeah.
But they just knew Schwimmer was going to fucking say pivot pretty fucking
They,
ridiculous.
they expected him to deliver the line properly.
It
Like
was
they
very-
they trusted the actress to do it justice.
And they even had
fell all into
they even
place.
had that scene about the buffet
Yeah.
line or something.
Yeah,
Where
they-
they were the
So
circle,
writing the comedy is like,
It
oh, it
was-
wasn't funny. What if he's like, oh, say he's at a buffet. He's like, oh, that's where I get
and
my
then it
money's
made
worth.
that guy
Yeah.
laugh his ass off. He was like, "I like that." And then all of a sudden, it's in the
Yeah.
fucking. That was.
I don't
tight.
remember what they call that, but them when they're taping and they're just like adjusting it on the fly like
Yeah.
that. It was
Oh,
A lot of
yeah.
rewrites is for
Yeah.
sure. But
Yeah.
that's it's amazing to get the behind the scenes of this kind of world because we're completely unaware of it as viewers.
Hmm.
And unless you get the behind the scenes on DVDs and things like that, which I like to watch, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of work. There's an amazing amount of pressure and
And
stress.
that's the beauty of this reunion. They delivered. They showed that behind the
did.
scenes
Yeah.
elegantly.
They basically like having these 6 actors come back and talk about their careers. They did not once really say that it was all them.
Mhm.
They basically was crediting everything to the
And point of
writers
fact, I mean, they
and to everybody else.
yeah,
and the chemistry
was
that
like,
they had.
Every single one of them was just like, you guys made me laugh.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was doing this. Like, it was like you guys were always doing something that made me laugh.
Matt LeBlanc. Yeah,
he's
he
like,
mentions
I never
that.
really think that I do that good. I never believe anything
Yeah,
I do
that was
because
hard to
I
watch,
fucking
but I
did it.
get
Yeah,
it.
I'm not believable. I think
I
it's
love
all
that no one
BS.
else seemed to get it, but like I understood what he
I
meant.
totally understood what he
I
meant.
felt like they were like concerned. Like, really, you're gonna say this right now? They probably get it,
But
but
for somebody who's acted, right?
Yeah.
So for somebody who's taken a lot of acting classes and shit like that in high school, and I loved it and all of that jazz, I 100% understand that when you do something, especially when it's like a script or when it's like forced, like it's not just natural,
Mhm.
it's hard to believe that it's believable.
Yeah.
And it's
I
it's
think
any
that's
art
the
form.
point of being an artist, essentially. Like you're always, I think most artists are never satisfied with what they've done.
No.
So they're always looking for something to critique.
Oh, it's so easy
Macklemore
to-
said it. One of his songs I absolutely love. He says is like, what is it? If as like, as an artist, I make sacrifices, and that's why I'm never satisfied.
Yeah.
I
Or
was
no, he says. I think he says as other way. He's like basically saying as like I'm never satisfied. That's why I make. That's why I'm an artist because I'm never there's a sacrifice I make. Either way, the point I get.
Edward Lee, I think, said it best for me was like, because he's always talking about like he always changes his plate because nothing's ever done. Like, there's always something I can add or something I can adjust. And,
Yeah.
you know, people say like, well, you know, you're finished. He's like, no, not yet.
quite. And that's once again like we said this in the very beginning is you can tell how close these guys, the chemistry that these guys had so quickly, just almost immediately, because if there was a little bit of, if there wasn't
Tension or-
if there wasn't any chemistry, it would not have been believable.
Right.
Yep.
And
But
you
they
can
had
tell it's
such flawless
natural.
chemistry. They cared
And
for each
even
other.
with
They
the
lived for
writers.
each other. And yeah, and the right, like when they wrapped up,
Yep.
when they were talking about wrapping up the finale and how emotional, and Matt LeBlanc's like, I remember like it was yesterday, crying in that hallway.
Yep.
And the writers were coming up, and
The
fucking
writers were
just-
crying harder than some of the
Yeah,
actors.
like
that Marta Kaufman, I think.
Yep.
Was her name,
Yeah.
And-
she was almost inconsolable.
and it's, I don't know. I think that's the thing that got me about this reunion special was this is a show that was iconic. This is a show that I remember watching growing up.
Right.
As a kid to a teenager, and still every once in a while I'll throw it on and just sit back and enjoy the nostalgic feelings that it gives me. But it was something that you get a comfortability for because it was one of those shows you knew that it was going to be on and you knew what you were going to expect. And it was just, you can lay back and enjoy without having to think about it, having to stress about it, whatever. No complex characters. There's no complex story. Nothing super elaborate or intricate.
There's nothing you really had to stop and go, wait, let's go back and find
Exactly.
No,
and,
it's a laugh and move on.
yeah. And yet it was one of those things where you just, I don't know, it was so adaptable. It was so appealing. And
As simple as it was, you engaged in the story.
yep.
Like,
The
regardless
the
of what was
mood,
going on, like,
it was the
you just-
feelings, it was the characters.
Yeah.
It's a character driven show that had phenomenal writing.
And I never knew it was a live audience. They never mentioned that before. I don't know.
It has a laugh track, doesn't it? That was something I thought was interesting too. Is a live audience? I'm like, well, usually live audience
Then
has
towards-
laugh tracks, and I'm like, I can't recall
I
if
don't
there's
remember a laugh track
ever
at
a
all.
laugh track.
No.
But then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it has to be because that's what always cues the funny bits. If you watch something
But they were
without a
talking
laugh
about
track,
making the people
it's not that
laugh.
funny.
With the warm up
Yeah.
comedians, they were. So a laugh track is not live audience, right? Are we on the same page here? Are we?
Yes and no. They cue to laugh. Whether or not they record it, it's still a laugh.
That's where that
Oh,
the applause sound kind of
Gotcha.
comes in.
But they were talking about sometimes Matthew Perry was saying sometimes he wouldn't get the laugh or big
Genuine.
enough, genuine.
It's a genuine thing.
Genuine.
He wants to know that people are bursting at their fucking
Yeah.
side.
He wanted to be, it was
Yeah,
all about
gotcha.
him
It's a
being
validation
accepted,
to say, hey, these
Okay.
people actually thought I was funny and they're not just being
Gotcha.
told. And that's the whole point is how often are you
Huh.
going to have
I never
somebody
knew that.
actually read that if they're actually genuinely laughing?
Mm-hmm.
And that was why he was sweating and whatever.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
which
besides
is
the
something
drugs,
else I guess I never
cocaine.
knew. It makes sense. But like I never knew that either. So
What was that?
that Matthew Perry was stressing over being like
Oh, yeah.
whether or not people were gonna laugh at him or laugh at his jokes or whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
everybody else was like, you never told us that.
yeah.
Like,
No,
which
that's-
I mean makes sense. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think
it's not
it's not
something-
something I would share either.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
I,
some
I-
deep depression type
yeah,
shit.
I'd see it as a weakness.
Yeah.
But how close they were though, that's the crazy part. Like these fuckers were
Coworker
so close.
not like
They
No,
were
I
farther
mean-
than coworker.
But I mean,
close.
even to family, there's
maybe the first year because they said the
And that's-
first year they would eat lunch together every day or whatever,
No,
and
no,
then
no, no,
then
no.
they branched off.
no, they did that for a whole 10 years.
What?
They were basically eating every day.
Every day.
Yeah, every day they had lunch and stuff for the whole fucking season.
My memory says the first season.
Well, we know how your memory works.
Very angry.
listen here, Magoo.
That means I'm blind, people. But I know where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna accidentally find the solution, fucker.
Well, that's fair. Touche. He always finds his way out.
It's true. to go to that point though, I mean, with how close? I mean, even still, like, even to family, there's some things that you just don't
Yes.
share.
And it's
There-
true.
that's
And
a
it's
good
true.
especially when you the ones that are, I hate to say it this way, but the ones that are really damaged
Yeah.
don't necessarily share all the damage that's been done.
And that's the crazy part is like out of everybody there, yeah, Matthew Perry is the one that's like probably the most damaged.
Oh yeah,
right?
he's the worst.
He's
off.
the worst off, but I would have almost expected Matt LeBlanc to be the worst off because he didn't get shit for anything other than what he's getting.
recently in the last 5 years.
Yeah, like-
right.
Like there's a big gap, but he's probably just living off the fucking royalties that he got.
Yeah.
Because they were
they're
each
getting-
basically making like $1 million an episode. at
Yeah,
that point.
and all the reruns,
Yeah.
what-
Yeah, they
what's that
re-
called?
I think
when they
those-
get into after season 5, they go into some kind of thing.
Syndication?
Syndication,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yes,
then back
yes.
then, you get paid fat for that.
Yep. Yeah, they got royalties out the ass for every
Yeah.
time it got
There it is,
aired. They got a
royalty, yep.
small percentage of whatever was being
Yeah.
aired
So
each
they're
time.
probably like
It's the
yeah.
same with music. Like when an album gets played on the radio basically has to buy a certain rights, but yet they have to pay a percentage each time.
Yeah.
They have to contractually say, "Hey, we'll play this song by whatever Avril Lavigne.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to play it 10 times a day every 30 minutes."
Mm-hmm.
And basically, we pay for that rights to play it, but each time it gets played, they get like 10% of each time it gets paid. It's fucking ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But that
But dwindles after a amount of time, though, I think, too. I think eventually those run out.
Yeah, I think it has to do with
It's a percentage thing. I think the percentage just dwindles.
And
or
I
something.
think it's
don't-
upon rewatches, but like Friends is like the most fucking
Yeah, and
rewatch.
that's what I was
What
gonna
do
say.
you
What
run?
did Gordon
when-
say? Like 100
100
times?
billion
Yeah.
or something like that.
And that's what I was gonna say. Like when you're dealing with
Wait.
this, like there was a nonstop thing. Like it's still to
It's
this
still a
day.
global phenomenon, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Unlike music, and then for the music thing, it always has to do with like whether or not this radio station is gonna buy it again.
Yeah.
That's what it has
I
to
thought
do
I
with
remembered
things.
in general, I thought royalties like dwindled over a certain amount of time.
It
but
usually does because most people get bored of it.
true.
It has
Valid,
nothing to
valid.
do with. It has to do with consumerism at that point. But yeah, it's fucking phenomenon. That's I didn't understand until this reunion what that really meant for this show. They kept
Yeah.
saying it was an icon or as a pop culture phenomenon. I'm like, I don't understand why. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then
All the magazine covers, like Rolling Stone, they were like, they're on
Oh,
the cover
yeah.
of Rolling Stone. Like,
as a
as a TV show. Like,
The
Rolling Stone
writers
is
just
on.
like saw it on the fucking newsstands. You're like, okay, I guess we're that popular now.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. He said he was walking through the airport and they were like, it didn't really hit home how big the show had gotten until I was walking through the airport and like they were on every magazine cover.
Yeah, Matt LeBlanc's
crazy.
rooftop story was pretty cool.
That was funny. I thought I enjoyed that little story.
yeah.
His what?
Well, they were talking about like helicopters basically
Oh,
going over
yeah,
their
yeah,
houses.
his
And he's like,
rooftop.
man,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
roof is fucking terrible.
So I get a ladder out and I start cleaning that shit. I'm like, I'm gonna have to call somebody.
I
Yeah,
had,
that's
I had a
right.
few leaks. I had to call
It
somebody.
just shows how. It just showed his personality. I liked it.
Right.
It,
And
oddly
he was
enough, it
trying
made
to be
me,
funny,
it
but
made
it
me
worked.
think that even though he was being funny, like it made it seem like he was a little more down to earth about
Yes.
everything.
That's what.
That's
yes.
something else I was more shocked about. Like, I was more impressed with how these people really are. Like Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, those two I would say I've seen the most, or
Sure.
like interviews or like out of spotlight kind of thing. But they're a little more also, in my opinion, I feel like they're a little more fake. And it just mean that they put on this facade for whatever reason. But it's because they're superstars.
Yeah.
I was more impressed with David Schwimmer and how quiet and how like
Humble.
humble, I guess. Yeah. He was actually very quiet.
Yeah.
He almost never shuts up in other than Chandler, but he almost never shuts up in the show. So I was just like, oh my goodness.
Oh, for
But he
sure.
was also like he was very particular on what he said.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah,
very
definitely.
precise on how he said things. And I was just like, my God, this guy really overthinks things, doesn't he?
He left it
And then
so
when
there
Matt
was
LeBlanc
no...
said, "Oh, I know you," it's like every little move you made was calculated.
Yeah, when he slapped himself in the
Yeah,
face
I'm
with
like,
the leather
damn.
pants and the
That's
lotion.
funny.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
I'm like-
That was a funny episode.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, right, this guy.
I
No wonder.
Yeah,
he doesn't ever
he-
smile.
He very
'Cause,
much
they-
like everything he said like left no room for doubt
yeah,
in what he meant.
yeah,
Um,
and he was super clear. He
Yeah.
almost never says or, but then again, he learning
He's
that
a,
he was
he's a
a
theater
speech.
guy. Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
he won speech and stuff. He was in speech in high school
Yeah.
or whatever, or college, and he was a speech debate champion, whatever. I'm like,
Was he?
That
Oh,
makes
I didn't know
sense.
that part. I missed that.
yeah. Then you get into theater. Once again, you
Do
can't
either
fuck
of
up in theater.
Well, yeah, that was my thought. It was like he's a theater guy, so of course he knows how to
Never
fucking
knew that
enunciate.
either.
Oh,
do you
yeah,
guys, how do you feel about like some of them not watching the show or all of the show or some of them? Do you care about that at all? Whether
Oh,
an actor
it's
watches their own
interesting.
films or
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I'll let you go first. Aaron.
I think it's interesting. Ultimately, like it just gives an idea that like
it's just a job.
well, not even that, but like I think if you don't watch it, it's either just a job or it denotes that you have a confidence in your work and you know that you did it as well as you could, and there's no point in going back and going, nah.
Because yes, you'd probably just critique it like Matthew,
Exactly.
Matt LeBlanc.
Basically, the way I can compare it is, do you taste everything that you cook before it goes out the window?
Okay. No, I do not.
There you go. Because for the most part, there's a certain point where you might want to try the meal so you have an idea of how it may taste. But in general, after a while, you just know how it's going to go.
Right.
You know what you need to put into it, and then it goes out, and you know it's going to be good enough to satisfy somebody.
But yeah,
probably
to me,
the
it
same
makes
way.
sense that a lot of them haven't even watched a whole season or an entire season. They just,
Yeah,
catch episodes
Matt
here and
LeBlanc
there.
was the only one that says like, "Oh, I still watch it. Like every time it's on or whatever, I'll be like, daughter's like, hey, watch this."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that was my favorite part of that whole little bit where he was talking about like, she's gotten into it, and like the episode was coming on. It's like that's where he talks about. He's like, I don't like anything I've ever been in because like I don't believe it.
Yep.
But like I'll sit there and watch it. Now watch this is funny.
Yeah, that was pretty
watch
cool.
that-
David. Watch David.
Watch David. This is gonna be fun.
It's gonna be funny. Yeah, that was a moment he said, "Oh, everything you did was calculated," and I agree that the whole leather pants scene was great. Like, I had a hard time, and I always had a hard time with the titles because I thought it was lazy writing.
Yeah.
Until I finished up with this series and going, it's actually quite brilliant because it's easily rememberable
yeah, memorable.
and it's catchy.
Yeah.
And it's basically straight to the
I
point.
wanted to debate you when you said that on the Jupiter Legacy episodes because you were like, you used that as an example. Like,
Yeah.
it's just lazy writing, and you were talking about Jupiter's
Don't worry, we
titles.
won't have to have that conversation anymore because they canceled it.
Proceed, Jason.
Anyways,
playing Poke the Bear.
I am agreeing with everything you're saying now versus
Yeah.
before.
Because I
for
didn't
sure.
watch it until
Because because I like Aaron, I didn't see this show when I was a kid or while it was airing.
Yeah.
I was my son's mom was moving into a new house. I was there. She had no cable yet. That's all she had that I haven't seen yet. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pop this in and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Friends season 1. Watched the whole thing. Going, okay, that was pretty fucking fun.
Right.
You know. So that's when I became
and that
a
was like
fan.
that was like the
And I
worst
was
of them.
Right.
Yeah.
They
with
didn't quite get in the
Marcel and all
groove
that
yet.
shit.
Yeah, that was very much like the
That was in my late
getting
20s.
their sea legs.
But I caught on because DVDs, you get the titles
Yep.
versus TV. You didn't know what the title was.
Right.
Yeah, did they even do that? I felt like they did in the.
Unless you had like the boxes that had the guide piece, but I think
Oh,
when they
man,
first
yeah.
started airing them, I
So
don't
they didn't
think that
actually
those
have like
were-
a title credit. Yeah, they
No, I
just
don't
had the
think
credits as
Yeah.
they were rolling as the show was
Yeah.
going.
I think-
oh, man, that's
unless
crazy.
you were like watching like the TV guide channel,
yeah,
which
yeah.
like you
Yep.
scroll.
Like
I
when
think
you had cable
maybe,
and shit like that. Yep.
Yeah, maybe you could see that, or if you had the box, like I say, and you flipped to that channel, they could tell you what program was on.
I just
but,
remember watching it on TV and I was like, oh, maybe I guess they didn't. Yeah, so that's
But yeah, same thing. When I first saw the title, I was like, "Pfft, this is so simple and stupid. And then years later, I'm like, that's so smart and clever.
right. Yeah, so
And catchy. I like that.
And like you said, I
catchy.
did say that. I completely forgot to use that comparison on our last episode or 2 episodes ago. But yeah, Jupiter Legacy, I was like, oh, that's lazy writing. But until I watched this, and then it made me realize, no, they hit it on the head. They
well, that's
hit
because
it on the mark.
that's how you refer to every show you
It's
watch.
the
You go,
one
it's
with
the one
the-
with this.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm getting at. Like,
Yeah.
it's the one with this. It's
Yeah.
the one with that. But the entire fucking 10 seasons was like that.
Yeah.
And it,
It also makes it a good reference point. Like you're able to go, oh, you're the one with this. Yeah, I remember that
yeah.
episode. Like,
yeah. And once again,
That's why it's smart. Yeah.
yes, I can admit now I was entirely wrong. It's
Well, I
not
wasn't
lazy
trying
writing.
to
It
say
was
that, yeah.
it was brilliant. It was a way for them.
calculated.
Yeah, it was calculated. It was a way for them to go, how do we want to do this where we don't have to keep thinking up something?
It's simple on their part.
And
yeah.
it's simple on their part, but it said everything.
Yeah.
At the same
sure.
time. And once again, I'm big on titles. I believe that every title should have a meaning of what everything is going to be about. In a book, in a show, a movie, whatever. Demolition Man. I knew somebody was going to die.
right.
He was demolished.
The last action hero.
Yep. No, I don't know, man. Like this show, as much as I enjoy the actors, as much as I enjoy watching these characters come to life because of the actors, it's the writing. These writers deserve all the credit in the world. in
Yeah,
my
you can
opinion.
have good actors that will, do a part justice, but if you have shitty writing, I think of it. I'll compare it to another show. I'm a big fan of The West Wing, and the guy that wrote the show left after the 4th season. The show ran for another 3 seasons, but you could tell it wasn't the same show.
Yeah.
And it was so sad,
Yep.
like comparatively.
We've mentioned this with like Community.
Yeah,
Like as soon as
Dan Harmon was
left,
kicked off.
like yeah,
it
you
was
got
an
fired or
entirely different
whatever.
animal. They tried,
It didn't,
like,
but it
just
fell flat.
Yeah,
Yep.
And the writers, you can tell in that moment where they're talking about Aniston's character, like how that technically it's a selfish person. You're not supposed to really like her.
Yeah.
But they needed to find the right actor. I don't know how, I can't remember the equation and how they said it, but what I heard was like, you fuckers took this serious. Like
Yeah.
every aspect and angle
Was
you were
analyzed.
passionate about getting it correct.
Yeah, they really thought in depthly about what they were doing to make sure that it was justified, that it was
Yeah.
going to work. And
yeah.
oddly enough, especially maybe it was more you get away with that shit in the 90s, but I feel like today
Yeah.
nobody gives a fuck about the writing.
No,
Apparently,
Look at the
You have
Fast
to
and the
say it.
Furious films. Like that's
Netflix is
horseshit, right?
going
There's no
down.
fucking story. It's
no, if
it's,
they did, Jupiter's Legacy would be fucking
I know
signed on for
right?
2.
I'm actually more mad about that because I was just talking the show up to a guy at work today because he hadn't watched it. I was like, we just did 2 episodes on it,
right?
and you should watch it. It's a great show, and
Seriously.
Now it's a waste of people's time.
yeah,
Now go out and get the
Yep.
fucking comic books like I'm about to do.
Yep.
right, for sure.
Seriously. When I find that shit out about Jupiter Legacy, I got flushed.
Yeah.
I got sad and I got angry. I literally felt my head filled with blood, like I was either gonna cry or was gonna punch something.
And then even
Cry
the
punch.
popularity of Friends.
I didn't know what to do.
But even in the popularity of Friends, I don't think anybody's ever complimented the writing. They just
No.
attach themselves to which character they thought they were
It's-
or who their friends was.
They basically,
So,
yeah,
It wasn't until this reunion where the actor said it's all the writing. It's
Yeah.
the writers. They did
It's just,
everything.
Just to reiterate your point, like people don't give a fuck about the work, the writing, and the ground
you
in
can
that
films
it comes
and stuff
from
like
and
that.
shit.
You see
Like
that a
as
lot
much
in,
as
like, the
a
shows.
few
It's
people
all
like us
shock
do.
value.
yeah.
They want to be shocked.
This is this
Yeah,
is
and-
coming to the point. Sorry to roll over you.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
But like just the height of like, like I think American Horror Story is a good show, but at the same time, I think it's not the best written show.
yeah.
And like it increases in popularity because it's it's shocking. Like
Yeah.
people like
They leave enough mystery. They leave enough shock value. But for the most part, it's nothing. You got the gist after the first season.
yeah.
And
then
after
it was
that, it's
all rinse and
overplayed.
repeat.
Yep. They just keep adding new themes.
Yeah.
what if
then
we
you're-
take the same actors and give them a different story?
Yeah,
Yeah.
put them in a circus, put them in a mental
I
institution,
agree with you.
put
Or
them
in a
wish.
hotel.
I
In a
agree with
hotel,
you.
yeah.
I watched the first season. I'm like, all right, it wasn't bad. Then I
Yep.
started watching the second season. I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
No,
I got up to
Yeah.
the fifth
too.
season. I think no fourth or fifth season, and I literally was like, I'm so bored of this show. Why am I watching?
I
this?
got to the hotel one and I was just like, why?
I think circus is when I was like, I'm done.
That's
I think
like
that was
the
third or fourth.
I don't know which
Three
one
is the
I got
which
to
one.
now. Maybe I only got
cares?
to the
Yeah.
second one. I got to the one. I think
Now
I got to
they're-
the asylum.
Coven is the third one, so Circus is the fourth.
Yeah,
the
Stevie
Motel
Nicks.
is the fifth one.
So
Anyway,
yeah, I just nobody gives credit to the writing. That's why,
And they probably didn't even when the show was popular. Is all why I brother.
and I think
yeah.
that's why I personally, I think that's why I want to be a writer, like a novelist, over writing a script. Is the vagueness. You have to write some like mind blowing concept that can be brought to visuals.
Yeah.
Or you have to write a beautifully masterpiece for visuals, or you have to write some kind of love story
Yeah.
or some kind of sad story that can really connect with just characters and not have anything to do with the essence of the world.
Right.
And I think that's where I just like
So it's kind of like selling out.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I want all of that in one. And that's where I think I really need to write a book.
Yep.
I want to write a book because I want to be a novelist over writing scripts.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's too much limitation on writing scripts or writing.
There's
Yeah,
too
if
many.
we were gonna write a script, it would be fun like Kung Fu Zombies.
It's true. But I want to be more in depth than that.
Right.
I know.
Especially the way my mind
There's
works.
too much.
That's
Scripts have too much of that point where people go, well, you can't do that.
That
It
too.
won't translate.
It
or
won't.
It won't,
That
do,
too.
it won't work.
Yep.
And it's
That
like, well,
too.
fuck you. I wrote this. How do you think it won't
Right.
work? Like, if I can see it, why can't you?
Right.
because that won't fill up a bag of cash.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's exactly it too. Like, I don't know, man.
That's what they're
So
saying.
I think that's
Oh,
the
yeah,
issue.
most definitely. Like,
Is there anything else that we want to talk about?
I think I'm good.
my final thought, because I've seen a lot of like divided arguments on it. What did you think of James Corden as the host?
I
I
thought
had
it was just
no
fine.
issues.
But I also I'm a little bit of a sucker for him. Like, who's the original
What
host
are people mad about?
of
I know some people were saying he was a
Norton
dog shit
Graham.
host.
Norton
Graham
Graham.
Norton?
No, Graham Norton. There, I had the right name.
Oh
try.
yeah, yeah.
Because he took over for that show.
Okay, yes.
Right?
Oh, Craig Ferguson, you're thinking of?
No, no.
Graham
No.
Norton is on BBC.
I
Craig
know. That's what I'm talking about. And
Ferguson was late night after Conan.
yeah, I'm talking about
Isn't
Graham
that what
Norton.
James Corden doing?
Didn't James Gordon? That's his name.
James Corden? I think he's doing the Late Late Show.
Who were we just talking about? What's his name?
Graham Norton has his own show on
No.
BBC.
I'm
That's
talking about the guy who
BBC.
did the reunion.
James Corden.
Okay, yeah. So James Gordon, I swear to God, he took over for Graham Norton on the BBC show because he's in that show
Yeah.
a couple times. I think that
What
Graham Norton.
BBC show.
I
The
think-
Graham Norton show?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. James,
James
Gordon
Corden took over the Graham Norton show.
believe that
and
he-
did
That's
the,
what
I believe that he took
He's
over
pretty
as the
big
host
now.
now for the Graham Norton show.
I thought he
And
was
Graham
still doing
Norton's
the late.
no longer.
I thought he was still doing the Late Late show. With,
He might.
like-
He might be doing that too.
I knew he took over for Craig Ferguson.
My whole
but-
point is
Really? I
like
didn't know.
I think he's fine. I think that dude's funny.
What the
I think he has
He was
charismatic.
barely in it. I thought he has 4 questions. And
Right?
Yeah,
But he has
I've
a good
seen-
personality for
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I've
he was
just seen
wearing that red
divided
suit.
sort of like.
yeah, but
that fucking
that's because
suit was
haters
weird.
gonna hate.
Yeah, I
As
just
much
thought
as I
I'd
hate
ask the
Taylor
question.
Swift.
Yeah, I had no issues with him.
Haters
I don't
gonna
see why
hate.
anybody
Yeah, I
would.
thought he was fine. I've seen people talking about, I thought
I've
he was
heard that as
terrible.
well, and I was just like, okay.
I've
How's
seen-
this even a topic of discussion?
Yeah,
his demeanor and his like mannerisms like got a little irritating for me, but like I didn't think he was a bad host.
It was all short lived. Like,
Yeah, and that was all
all his
just like
scenes were like in
I don't
and
know.
out.
it
I
was
thought it-
possibly because it was 1:30 in the morning and I was getting like very irritable about everything.
Yeah, he's a little too uppity for 1:30 in the morning for sure.
I liked his little thing, like when he was like, "Oh, so Jennifer Aniston is like, is it true that there's a producer that said you would not be a star if you took this?" Like, yeah, and she went off. She's like, "We have that producer
Oh
here."
yeah, but
And she like
that's
was like,
such a
"Oh."
classic joke. in
I know,
those
but it
shows.
worked.
I
It
actually
did,
thought
it did land, and I was mad at myself for
his
it
Falling
working.
for it?
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
I thought as the host, I thought his crowning moment is when they revealed that Jennifer Aniston and David Schwimmer were like crushing each other, and he's like, he turns to the audience, he's like, "Is anyone else's mind blown by this
Right?
now?" Like,
I
and
was like, really?
if I hadn't heard it,
Interesting.
like if I hadn't read it on Facebook, you
probably would've.
before it,
Yeah.
I probably would have been like, "Oh wow, okay."
Yeah. It wasn't mind blowing by any means. It was more of like, really? For
So
me,
people-
it was like, really? Jennifer
people-
Aniston could do way better. She did. Brad Pitt.
People were reacting like they shit their pants when
Yeah.
they found out, and I'm like, really?
But
and then
here's the thing though. I felt like David was looking at Jennifer like like, oh, I'm still a sucker. I'm a sucker for you.
Well, I'm
and then
sure
his
he would be.
definition.
Yeah, but Jennifer's like
explanation of
Jennifer
that
barely looked at
situation
him.
was
Except
just
for
a
the
bunch
table
of
read.
dialogue from the
Right.
show.
Yeah.
And but like actually, the way I read the way Schwimmer was looking at her was more like, do you want to tell them? Like he was looking to like for a cue to say yes, we can talk about this or
But
not.
Jennifer, I felt like there was a little bit more of like I'm hanging on, or there's
Yeah,
a little bit of a hanging on his part, and Jennifer was like, I'm over it.
He was waiting to see what her entire
Yeah,
reaction would
you
be.
see what I'm
like,
saying?
yeah,
Because
I
Jennifer
get you.
barely looked at him, that
For
whole
sure.
thing. Like was like, that's no big deal. But David was like, is this a big deal? This is a big deal. You know what I mean? Like,
It's no big deal. Bullshit, it's not a
right?
big
You're
deal.
you still got feelings.
I didn't fucking marry Brad Pitt.
Right? I loved Matt LeBlanc saying bullshit.
Yeah, that was funny as fuck.
As she rolls up, he's like, I was kidding.
Yeah.
That was perfect.
You're okay. Since you brought this up, I thought James Corden. I almost call him Graham Norton. James Corden. All British people are the same, apparently.
Beep.
How did you guys feel about the whole wardrobe celebrity
I hated
thing?
it.
I hated it too. I hated it.
I hated
Okay.
the
Fucking
camp.
as soon as Justin Bieber stepped
I was
on
like,
stage,
oh,
I'm like,
Cindy Crawford's still alive? No.
I said the same thing. I'm like, she still looks like she was when she was 20.
Yes.
So what has she been eating? 'Cause
Besides that, I thought it was stupid.
I couldn't.
And all the clothes things was kind of funny because that episode is funny, but
I thought it was fine what they did with the whole outfit things, but I hated that they brought Justin. He wasn't even
Yes.
fucking alive. He was
yes,
a fucking
yes.
spermlet. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, why was he even
Wasn't even a twinkle in
engaged?
his father's eye.
Who was the other one? Oh,
Cara
it was
Delevingne?
yeah. I'm like, she's the same thing. Like,
Who?
Some model
Cara
actress. Cara
sh-
Delevingne.
have you seen?
No, I don't want to know.
She's in some shit.
She's in
good.
some shit.
I'm
She's
good.
okay.
Cindy Crawford, I was happy. She's still looking great and doing her
I,
thing.
like I,
was
said, I
born.
thought it was fun, but like, yeah, the
It's
people,
more
that
nice.
had,
Matt
the people
LeBlanc
they had
put
doing it was like, why?
Except for Matt LeBlanc, that made
Oh, yeah.
sense.
The Matt LeBlanc one
Yeah.
did make sense. And I thought everyone was actually, how'd you do that?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't even see him fucking leave.
Yeah, I thought that was
he
good.
snuck off.
It made me laugh a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun, but yeah, ultimately
Overall,
it was
I
just
hated it.
stupid.
I just
like,
hate, I
it was
hate
my-
Justin Bieber. I hate him.
Yeah.
Hate him.
Fucking
Yeah, for
Justin
sure.
Bieber's and the Taylor Swifts of the world can just go fucking eradicate themselves.
they should be sterilized for sure.
They should have been sterilized to begin with.
Yeah,
Permanently.
Unfortunately, that's not how the world works.
Yeah.
I know. I just can't say.
Sit-
But don't tell Lydia. I don't want to have that conversation with her,
Sit around with
It
a
sounds like a
microwave
very
gun
loud
and shooting him at like.
and I don't want to deal with it.
Conversation.
I don't want to deal with
So
it.
yeah, I'll definitely do that. Make that happen.
All right. Well, I think we should wrap this guy up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got nothing
That was
else.
the Fringe reunion. Yay or nay? Jason, out of
Yay.
3 stars,
What
whatever.
the fuck? Are
I
you
got tongue-tied.
telling me what
I
I'm
got
gonna rate it?
Out of
You
one-
know I'm gonna rate it 3 stars, don't you?
1 to 5
3 out of
vagina
5.
scented candles.
Yep, 1 to 5 vagina candles.
You need out of 10
1 to 5
stars on
vagina
that.
candles.
3
Did you like
the
this?
JJs.
Okay.
Yeah, I give it a 3. Like I said,
That's
I just-
more than I thought. So,
Yeah. I thought
I mean,
you'd
it
say
was
2.
fine. I just didn't care. So I don't know.
so you're gonna give it a 3? I don't care. Just get this over with.
It's kind of what I was saying last night when I was watching it. Go.
Well, now you know how every woman felt.
Yeah.
I personally, I give it a 4. I actually teared up towards the end of it too.
Pussy.
So did Jason.
I teared up as well, but
But it had nothing to do with the show. Like it wasn't
Right.
what was happening in the show. It seriously was. It was. I've never felt a nostalgic rush like this before. It was so bizarre. Like for me, it seriously was like a weird anomaly.
an ambush of memories.
Yeah, and it was fucking weird and creepy. And I don't think I've ever felt that way before. And like it wasn't like I was bawling. It was just like eyes
Yeah.
watered, and I just had this weird tear
Yeah,
that came
when
down.
I blinked, one
Yep,
one
and I'm
dropped.
like, that oddly enough, that was extremely satisfying to watch.
And
I didn't have it in me, A, because it was so late, and B, because I watched Collateral Beauty the night before.
I don't even know what that is.
The Will Smith movie where like he starts talking to I watched that the night before, so I didn't have anything left in me to be like upset about.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a nostalgic thing for me for sure. Like it just brought me back to what I would call a simpler time. I wouldn't say better time, but a simpler time. And
Sure.
it was a whole other world that I was living in when, before all the stress, all the drama, all the heartbreak, all
Yeah.
the whatever. And it was just
That's
something peaceful about that.
That's why I like, shows like Night Court and Perfect Strangers. Like I watch them and like they're not great, but I mean they remind me of like when I was a kid, like
Yeah.
sitting in my
Yes.
living room with my grandparents watching these shows. Like that's the shit. That's why I like these shows so much.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, let's wrap her up.
Alrighty. Well, this is Timothy Bennett here, and that was our friends reunion, I guess. So
Well, and this is Aaron Banyan saying goodbye as well.
Yeah, apparently I'm Jason Chandler.
And you're not the star of Friends.
I'm not?
Jason Chandler Bing.
How you doing?
All right, we're over. We'll catch you later.
Peace.